Welcome back to another night of Shtick with Koolfrogg. It's kind of a special edition thing going on here. Whatever. This is a Crowder versus Owens. Uh, Whatever. I don't care what it is. It's really kind of confusing to me. I'm really down the center on the whole ordeal. I'm going to be paying attention to what TR has to present to us here. So you have to think about it. Who's actually presenting this to us? This is TR. You really seriously have to think about that because
Oh, okay.
he's.
That's hilarious.
What's up, TR? What do you got for me here? What is it that you think it should make me even care what in the world this even has to do with anything?
Well, so like the beef between Candace Owens and Steven Crowder, it really started with when Crowder came out of the blue and started attacking Daily Wire for their what he claims is a very, very bad contract, and I tend to agree with him on that. Like we all remember the Stop Big Con thing, which kind of really didn't even go anywhere if you think about it. But
tracks that I have the luxury of not having to sign.
Wait.
See, you have to also remember that back when we have done some of the early show stuff, that we actually did cover the Steven Crowder and his Daily Wire stuff. So there's a couple things that all of us paid attention to and had actually really listened to what was really going on in his life. So there's been a lot going on for him in particular.
yeah, exactly.
Divinity, did you?
I had a question, T-Rex. Do you think that contract was a bad contract altogether? Like, you think that's a bad way to open negotiations, or why did you think it was bad?
I think the contract was bad because it punishes. So Daily Wire is supposed to be like on the forefront of the anti-censorship movement for conservatives, and in my mind, what the contract did was like I don't honestly don't have a problem with like the punishments for like missing shows. I mean, you get punished if you miss regular work, right? I mean, you get strikes or you get fired or whatever. I don't have a problem with like the ad reads, but what I do have a problem with is getting monetarily punished if you say something that upsets the YouTube gods, and your channel gets striked, and you're down for a week off of one of the major platforms. Like that's really what Daily Wire claims they're about is being able to talk openly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then did you listen to the reply from the Daily Wire?
I did. Yeah, I have that queued up as well.
Okay, so do you think? Because I'm confused. Like, as far as contracts go, why do you think it was more appropriate with Steven to talk to us about it than to get into his contract and say not that, not that? You know what I mean? Like, it's a first proposal. That's why I'm not sure why.
Yeah, and Crowder gets into that on the Timcast episode when he went on there. How he thought the offer was basically, it was in his mind it was you know what, we're a big player, you're a big player in the conservative media, here's our offer, but we don't really want you, but we're going to make an offer just because we feel like we have to.
Okay. So his feelings got in the way? Instead of deciding to negotiate and say, actually, I'm worth this?
I believe also he says that he did counteroffer, but then he never heard a response back. No,
there was no counteroffer.
Let me see if I can find the Timcast episode, because I believe he does. The Gerald A. fella says that they did. I could be wrong though. That's why we do have all the sources pulled up.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find.
Either way, that's not what this is about, right? I was just curious how you felt that what made you think that he's right about not negotiating a contract. Well, why would he not negotiate his contract? Why would he bring it? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand that aspect of it.
From what I understand, he did send a counteroffer to them, and they basically said, "Nah, fuck off."
No, because if you listen to both of their response, when he told us about it and the guy's response when it happens, that's not an aspect of it. There's no counteroffer.
Okay.
I think
So
you
anyway.
get emotional with it.
We'll see him. We do have. We'll be watching those videos tonight. We've got a bunch of videos queued up that have, so we can hear from the horse's mouth.
Let's hit this video.
All right. Start playing the video.
So, Mug Club. Professionally, it's meant everything to us here. Personally, too, but professionally, you are the entire reason for your ability to create this kind of content truly
Also,
independently for the last 6 years.
Well, we don't care about his
doing
clauses.
right-leaning limitations. Do not sign, and this would be if it was
Wait,
me.
what's happening right now?
If Crowder fails to deliver a monthly content,
TR.
in any month or any of the quarterly content.
We don't care about the advertisement of Steven Crowder. We do know that he is tagged down below, so that there's potential of getting different people or whatever, different crowds. But now we just want the points on why we're actually here, what actually brought us to the point of Candace Owens feeling the necessity to go after Steven Crowder, right?
Yep, to issue a cease and desist.
Okay.
Right. So that's the reason that we're here. That's the big question. So what's the proof on what would actually make it be that she should actually even do that? Because that's why we're here.
Yeah, what's the catalyst behind it?
Well,
I got that video, the link in private chat here.
Hold on, let me talk to chat real quick. So Steven Crowder announced yesterday he's getting a divorce. He says, "Hey, I have to tell you this because of something Candace Owens related." And now Candace Owens has replied and said, "Hey man, that's bullshit. I got a lawyer hooked up. You need to stop this." And so now we're going to go, wait, what did each of them say? What is it defamation? Should he not have said it? Did he go too far? What is the prompting of this fight between them that seems to have come out of nowhere? Like, he told us he was getting a divorce and then blamed her for it. We're like, but you told us. So that's kind of where we're at.
Well, okay. So if we just want to go
I
there,
kind of agree with T3. Fuck his fifis. Before we actually do go way too far here, and somebody doesn't even. We do have somebody here. This is Boomer. Everybody should say hi to Boomer. Boomer is actually with us. Would you actually say? Is there anything you'd like to actually say to the points of what we're trying to get at?
Well, I think there's a whole lot to this, and yes, it did start initially when Steven Crowder had basically put out the Daily Wire Big Con story. I know we're all familiar with the fact that initially he put it out and he didn't say who it was. And then Daily Wire came out and said, "Oh, yeah, that was us." And it wasn't what he says it is, but here's what we have. And then he responded, and Candace Owens got involved. And there's a lot of speculation as to why she had gotten involved in the midst of this. And a lot of people have the suspicion that it was purely because she's mad because he was offered a massive amount of money, more than she was. So it's jealousy. And one of the things that Stephen had pointed out was she did a whole lot of concern trolling. You know, I'm praying for him and I'm praying for his family. And, you know, she made a lot of really weird allusions to knowing something, but wasn't saying it out loud. And then a couple of days ago, she made a video saying that she knew the whole time they were getting divorced because she stalked him on Instagram.
She said this after he came out and said what he
Yes.
said. It was in her response video, and that was yesterday or today.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's why we have to keep to the timeline here as well.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah. So there's some really weird, sketchy stuff going on here on both sides.
Because supposedly when she said about praying for him and his family, she was alluding to something was up, but she didn't know herself. Just pray for him. She didn't know anything for definite. Just, you know, he's going through some stuff.
Well, I have
And
that
connecting that to the Daily Wire as well.
That video of Candace from like 3 or 4 months ago. I have it. That's in the chat right there.
Okay, so now there's a couple things that we need to look at here, though. Okay, so like before we actually get to playing this final video, I think we do need to go back to the first video and actually watch the succession of things that actually occurred to get to here. We just want to be clear on where we're actually going before we actually try getting there. Because if people are confused on why we're playing all these videos, because this is the point that we're going to get at the end, is this here. So if you go back and you watch the different things that occurred for that to actually happen, you might actually find some answers that we're actually looking for, right?
Yes.
So we got plenty of videos to play to actually get to what brought us to this final question or whatever, and where we're going to actually hopefully
So what do we look at first? Him saying he's getting a divorce, her giving a response, and then figure out what the next question is from there and watch that video?
So Moose has the video timestamped. This is January 23rd, and then the next video that I think we should play is January 24th.
All right, what's up? Can chat read this?
They should be able to.
Okay.
So this is the most recent since January 2023. So Crowder made that it's time to stop Big Con # video, right? And Jerry made a response. Candace went on Timcast. And then Candace made that the Pray for Crowder video. I think that's when it was. That was right after. It was the same day as she went on Timcast. I don't know if it was before or after.
I would say it's probably pre-recorded because she'd have to fly out to West Virginia.
Yeah, because she was physically on Timcast that night, so it had to have been pre-recorded and then released earlier in the day because her show is, I think it's, I don't watch it, so I don't know what time it is, but I would assume it's in the morning because that's when Daily Wire releases all of their. They've got their lineup of shows that goes from, like it starts with Ben Shapiro and then it goes to, what's his face? Not Matt Walsh, the other guy. And then they have the comedian.
Okay,
and then,
So we should watch the Crowder video.
That's what started it.
That's what started it.
That's after the contract breakdown, and he went public. He made I think that was the first video.
Is that the video that you have up here, TR?
The video that I have up is the one that Crowder references in his video about the divorce. So it's the clip of Candace in that video.
So that's like the recent one.
It's the claimed extortion.
It's the one you have timestamped.
January.
January 23rd.
Because I don't want to be jumping from one day
So
and then
today
going back.
or yesterday,
back.
he said he's getting a divorce. He said, if you've ever gone through any type of, we got to watch that. We have to watch that, and then we'll go back and see what he didn't show us.
So the Crowder video.
That
It's
would be
time to
different.
stop is the first one that we should be watching.
That's what started. That's what gave her thing. That's how I feel about it.
She did Timcast before her video because they did Timcast on the 19th, and her video came out on the 23rd. So there's a few days between it. So,
but
the divorce video I think Divinity's referencing right now is the one that he came out with most recently. That's the one he's going back and talking about the extortion. So you guys want to get through that one first and see like what the most recent comment was, and then we'll go back to the start of it, or maybe go back to the Candace extortion quote unquote video and take a look at that for comparison.
Yeah,
we're confusing Tiara on which video he should be playing. So in the Crowder video from the 17th of January.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. All right. So let's put this in theater mode.
Yes, please.
The grand plan. I'm sorry. Can I see the title of this again?
Oh, it's about Tucker.
So we're not playing the whole hour and 11 minutes.
No, it's only about 7 minutes.
Just the first 7
we just want the few minutes that he actually speaks of it. We don't even want anything that actually shows, please promote this, that, and the other. We don't want his, we just want his statement.
Yep.
Hey, well,
so this one came out
programming, and Nick DiPaolo in third chair in a little bit, but needed to take a moment here to address some issues out there that are circulating. It's never fun, but well, I guess let me be clear here. I have been living with a proverbial boot on my neck for going on years now. Since 2021, I've been living through what has increasingly been a horrendous divorce. Now, let me say on the outset, to be clear, there's no infidelity, any kind of physical abuse at all on either side. And no, this was not my choice. My then wife decided that she didn't want to be married anymore. And in the state of Texas, that is completely permitted. It's been the most heartbreaking experience of my life, what I consider to be my deepest personal failure. And just so you know, my opinions on parenting and families have not changed. I've always believed that children need a mom and a dad, that divorce is horrible. And I still believe that children need a mom and a dad and that divorce is horrible. But in today's legal system, my beliefs don't matter.
All right.
In Texas, divorce is permitted when one party wants it, period. So for well over a year.
There we go.
So, I mean, he repeats himself twice there about, it's permitted, which most states it is. Most states it is permitted for you to actually be able to, go through a divorce as long as one party feels it's necessary to go through the divorce. I really don't know of which states wouldn't. The proverbial boot, and I believe that's where Candace Owens picks up on, if I'm not correct. That's what she picks up on. That's the point that she picks on. That's the point that she actually goes after and says.
No, it gets worse. Let him carry on talking. He gets more into detail. That's what she picks up
I think what we should take out of this part so far is that she filed for divorce in December of 2021, 2 years ago, or whatever that is.
A year and a few months.
Okay.
Yeah, a year and a half ago. So that's why it's going to matter about the stuff that happened before this in our minds, because we learned about it yesterday. The divorce, you know what I'm saying? So there's more to what he thinks in his mind behind the scenes. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now, TR, when you actually hit this play button, we can't go past like another minute 20 seconds or whatever without saying something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want you to actually, keep that in mind. That if anybody has any thoughts,
yeah,
it is. Anybody that has any thoughts on any of this, just holler. Tell them hit that stop. Pause that. So.
Speak if you got them.
So right. Check this out. The divorce in 2021. It was in December. It's still ongoing. That year in July, he had his chest surgery, which like 2 weeks later he had complications and collapsed lung, ended up in the hospital again. And then the next month, in August of the same year, he had his twins. So then 4 or 5 months later, she goes and files for divorce. So this is the context back in 2021.
Yeah, there's a lot going on
Yeah.
here that we didn't see, or that we saw but didn't realize the divorce piece was also happening.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stress.
Okay, go ahead.
Well over a year, in the best interest as well as physical safety of my children, we've decided to keep this issue private and to resolve it privately with the appropriate attorneys, what have you, legal jargon. Now, in all this, one thing I want to be really clear about is certain. True north here is that my children are blameless, completely without fault, and so we decided to resolve these issues privately, as it's in their best interests, both emotionally and physically, to do so.
As it should always be.
Now,
Yes.
the other issue is, and this is something that I've kept private for likely far too long, many other people knew about this behind the scenes. Some, not all, but some of them in positions of power, influence, leverage, knew of this. They also knew that the safety of my children included keeping it private. So if you're familiar with the idea of extortion, then you know the feeling.
Shai said, why would they be to blame? Yeah, he says, our kids are not to blame, and because of that, we thought we'd keep this private. It's like, yeah, if these fuckers were to blame, we'd tell you, we'd be encrypting the shit out of this.
Right,
They're innocent.
Right. Why would they be to blame? Right, exactly. Too much information. Now, who gave out too much information? It was Stephen Carter that gave out too much information. It really wasn't, anybody else but him that actually gave out too much information. He didn't need to go that far and actually say, hey, by the way, this, that, and the other, because of this, that, and the other. He could have just simply said, we're going through a divorce. It's something, it's something that I can't, not speak something about and leave it at that.
A year and a half not
He
speaking
brought
something
it to
about,
the
and
next
he supposedly doesn't want anyone to know. What's he doing right now?
He completely blamed the twins.
Yeah.
He completely blamed the twins.
But he brought it to the
twins were the
next
pressure
level.
point. Yep, the twins were the boiling point.
That's his fault for actually bringing up the kids.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm sure he's like, my kids are going to see this. What do I want them to hear? It's not their fault. You know what I mean?
And he's like, why he can't see his kids, or he's having problems
seeing his kids are always going to, this is public, and it's become public. So now think about 20 years from now, or 15 years from now, or whatever age they decide to go searching this up. He can't hide it from them. They're going to be like, what did my dad say? Oh, he loved us. Like, fuck
in
us.
20 years, they're going to be watching Shtick With Koolfrogg with all these lovely people.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, wow, look at the point that they actually had to go along with that. All right. Hit that play button.
Well. Now, some of these...
Go back a few seconds because he says the key words here, extortion.
Now, the other issue is, and this is something that I've kept private for likely far too long, many other people knew about this behind the scenes. Some, not all, but some of them in positions of power, influence, leverage, knew of this. They also knew that the safety of my children included keeping it private. So if you're familiar with the idea of extortion,
why is he telling us?
Then you know the feeling well. Now,
wait, pause. The safety of my children depended on this. If you're familiar with extortion, I don't get it.
If you're familiar with extortion and how extortion works, I mean, is he actually feeling that it's actually gone that far?
Is he conflating the safety of his children with financial security right now? Is that what's happening?
Is that the extortion that he's thinking he's getting from Daily Wire? I don't know.
Let's keep going. Sorry to interrupt that again.
Okay. No, it needed to be interrupted.
Well, there is one thing to consider. It's been well known that Stephen, and by relation his now ex-wife and his children, are basically he's like He'd drawn pictures of Muhammad and is on the list of people that need to be killed to go to heaven.
The Fatwa Club.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, well that kind of changes things. Maybe a little bit.
It's another piece.
Hit that play button.
Koolfrogg hates not being in control of his show, by the way.
Now, some of these threats were so thinly veiled that I'm frankly surprised you didn't all guess immediately.
Stephen has a lot going on. I guess is the best way to say it. He has a lot going on, and that should be clear because people don't do stuff like this if there's not a lot going on in their lives. I would like to implore my audience and everybody that isn't paying attention to this situation not to condemn him, but to pray for him. Sometimes people need a prayer. Sometimes
Please,
people
let's
need
pause it and talk about these
Yes.
shoulder pads. These shoulder pads are the worst thing in the history of basically ever. This is
Yeah,
not
it's the
coming back,
jacket.
Candace. Your head is so small. This is not working. The jacket is...
Well, you also have to
Every
critique the
day there's
words.
something different. Every day
the
it's
words.
something
I
else.
couldn't get past the shoulder pads. What is she saying?
See,
Close your eyes, Infinity. Close your eyes.
Lady
purports
Autumn's
to
guy
be
said
a Christian.
Oop. Sorry.
go back 10 seconds.
Yeah, I hate when she says that.
I have I put a link for the whole 6-minute clip. Media Matters saved it, so
Not
you don't have to
20.
go to Daily Wire.
Lady Autumn's guy said parents of multiples have a higher divorce rate than parents of singletons. And she filed for divorce when they were 4 months old, so that might have a lot to do with it.
Hit that play button.
And that should be clear because people don't do stuff like this if there's not a lot going on in their lives. I would like to implore my audience and everybody that isn't paying attention to this situation not to condemn him, but to pray for him. Sometimes
Pause.
people need a prayer. Sometimes
people need a prayer. Well, I mean,
True.
you know, and I get that. Sometimes people do need a prayer, and sometimes we should suggest such a thing of people, actually reaching out and actually praying for somebody, and actually, we've done the same. We've done the same for our own because when it comes down to it, that's what you do. So, I mean, she kind of maybe she was doing the right thing. Maybe she felt that she was being,
should assume she is.
she was actually being genuine for the, first time.
And this
in her
was
life.
also in light of all the stuff with the Daily Wire contracts. So there was more than one reason for her to be saying this right now.
Right. So I mean, maybe she felt that there was a different connection or whatever between the two. Hit that play button. TR, are you awake?
a scripture.
He's
You know, Stephen purports to be a Christian. I am unsure at this moment if it is my place to say more than that. Maybe if I feel in further defense, something should be said, or maybe if I feel that the public has a right to understand certain circumstances.
All my children have a right to privacy.
What?
Now, some
But
other...
did she do anything? What did she do, though, for you to come out and say this now?
There
Sorry.
was more to that statement than she put in.
Yeah, more into that. Yep.
issues have been, or I should say, inferences have been more pernicious behind the scenes with demands and threats to use this information that they believe would be so publicly embarrassing to me and my wife at a difficult time that it could be used, knowingly putting my...
I mean, if he's thinking that he's embarrassed,
yeah,
he's thinking that, okay, now I'm embarrassed. You put my information out there that you didn't need to put out there because, didn't he put it out there first?
He did,
or is
but
he
I'm
saying
confused.
that she put it out there first?
But she did. He
He's
was saying
trying
that
to
she's
say that
blackmailing her behind the scenes, basically.
he just said
He's
behind
blackmailing
the
him.
scenes.
Yeah,
Right.
she's
Yeah.
blackmailing him behind the scenes. But this is what he's thinking. You also have to, that's why I said we have to look at both sides of the story and not just what Stephen says, because otherwise, oh my gosh, Candace is the worst woman in the world. Yeah? So carry on, press play, go forward, see
Children
what I
in
want.
harm's way. So to those self-styled Christians, conservatives, and allies, well, not in my book.
What? See, he
Now,
did
if you
the
find
same
yourself,
thing.
I don't want to get into details, so this is going to likely be the only time.
Self-styled Christians.
Yeah, the whole thing about like them like Christian shaming each other seems really weird, but
It's petty. It's petty as hell. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that. This is some petty ass shit.
I'm more Christian than you are. Yeah.
I have to address this or want to address this. If you're asking yourself, hey, did X person or did Y person know? The answer is likely yes, which will be made alarmingly clear as this process of discovery continues. And it also, by the way, makes me that much more appreciative of those who did know about this.
Wait. So he just said hold on, I want to hear that again.
Which will be made alarmingly clear as this process of discovery continues.
What process of
time
discovery?
that it could be used, knowingly putting my children in harm's way.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out what process of discovery. Like, I don't.
What's
Does
going on?
divorce
Yeah.
have a discovery process?
This is very vague. He's been very vague, and he's been a bitch ass pussy at the moment. Sorry.
You know, that's why I was trying to go back to want to hear what the
Yes,
process of
Grimsbar.
discovery is a reference to.
Grimsbar. Go click that link, brother. Come bring yourself in here.
Absolutely.
Discovery is a very
Come on in, bro.
discovery is a very important part of divorce and child custody proceedings. Apparently, this is from FamilyTexas.com. So Texas.
Oh my God.
Okay. Yeah.
I meant to.
I believe would be so publicly embarrassing to me and my wife at a difficult time that it could be used, knowingly putting my children in harm's way. So to those self-styled Christians, conservatives, and allies, well, not in my book. Now, if you find yourself, I don't want to get into details, so this is going to likely be the only time I have to address this or want to address this. If you're asking yourself...
Okay, but he said... Yeah, he said it's likely to come out in discovery that these so-called conservative Christians, whatever, it doesn't seem like he's referencing the divorce when he's talking about the discovery. To me, it seems like he's referencing something else.
Like some kind of crime. Like something else happened.
He literally said, I don't know if you've gone through extortion, but you might know how this feels. People are threatening to use these things that might be embarrassing behind the scenes. I'm not sure if these things are going to come out in discovery, but ... He's telling you, I mean... He clearly has a lawyer that's going to take action. That's why he came out and told us. For some reason, he thought he needed to be the one that embarrassed himself because somebody was threatening to do this already. In this video implies it's Candace. So we're going to watch Candace's video and see if layman's would have figured this out. The thing is, chat are the layman's, and they didn't figure it out. If that were true, she was putting all these things out there, these little, what do you call them, Easter eggs? It would have been figured out. Other people would have started researching, and then it would have, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think what she said was as important as he heard it, because it was him that she was talking about, and he was so invested in the truth behind what she was saying or whatever.
He feels isolated, and everything seems extra loud in his head because of what he's going through.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's weird. All right.
Did X person or did Y person know? The answer is likely yes, which will be made alarmingly clear as this process of discovery continues. And it also, by the way, makes me that much more appreciative of those who did know about this and, in understanding the best interests of my family, my children, kept their word and used discretion. I can't thank you enough. Sincerely, I appreciate it. Won't forget it. It's pretty simple. I loved a woman so much that I married her. A woman who, despite all of this, I still love as the mother of my children. And she wanted something else for her life. That's not my choice. She simply.
Well, that's really interesting, right? Because we'll learn this later, but Candace claims that nobody else really knew. At least Jeremy Boring didn't know.
Yep.
One out, and the law.
Okay. So that's all we really need off of this video, right? There's nothing more that he really says that can actually change our opinions on.
Let's make sure.
At this point in time, right?
Yeah, not right now.
Not right now. We're gonna watch. How much of this do we need to watch for your point?
No. I'm saying like right now, as it stands. Who knows what the show is going to be tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So then the next one would be the unedited version of what Candace said. Make sure I grab that tab.
The green shirt clip that he put up in that the same one we just watched?
Correct. I have like literally
that awful
like
green jacket with her hair
15
back.
tabs open.
She starts getting into it, I think, at like this 6-minute mark.
The shoulder pad video. That's how we'll refer to it from now on.
Yeah.
You got it right here.
Sherry.
Oh, what are we doing?
Yeah, here it is. Okay. This one. All right.
Probably saw it on the Tim Pool podcast last week, and I was angry. I felt righteous in my anger because I was so.
And I do have that Timcast.
What's wrong with the audio on that?
Yeah.
Also, can you hit subtitles?
Oh, the audio's down. Okay.
Yeah, audio's a little in and out.
Used by the fact that this time a conspiracy that was being circulated about me and my colleagues was coming from somebody who was supposed to be a friend, Steven Crowder. It wasn't a good feeling. It made me frustrated because I was suddenly getting inundated with so many people accusing me of being a fraud, accusing me of having a $50 million contract in which I'm enslaved. I'm enslaved to big tech, accusing me and my colleagues who have done nothing wrong in this circumstance, who don't even have that same contract of some.
Actually, I think she was pissed that she didn't have a $50 million contract, was what people were saying.
Well, it still doesn't equate to what?
Sub 357. Good to see you. Good to see you. You know, I
because the way she talked about it on Timcast, she said
the way she's stating it though is ridiculous. She doesn't need. She kind of, you know, like I'm being enslaved. You know, I mean, no.
That's how he made it sound, but also
is
it
it though?
Doesn't equate to what Steven's saying now.
Did we just hear what he had to say before this? Is this what we're?
This is why we were going back to the very start.
Right. This is what happened just after what he had said there.
This is what happened right after she went on Timcast.
Yeah, this is January when we've gone back to play the clip that he showed in his segment.
I believe this is January
for full context.
23rd. So
this is January 23rd, correct?
Timcast was on the 19th, and the original video for Stop Big Con was on the 17th that Crowder put out.
So we're going backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first video.
And then we're going to jump forward again.
From yesterday. So he referenced this video yesterday in his video.
Yeah, this is the reference.
It's so confusing.
Yeah, it is. It's bullshit.
This video is from January. Crowder just referenced this specific video in something he put out yesterday.
So what you're saying is what he clipped as her saying isn't everything that she said.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we're getting at.
Okay.
Yeah, we're watching.
We're trying to see if there's anything in there that literally amounts to extortion or anything.
This is the first public mention that she made of having information on him. She didn't say what that information is. She just dropped continued hints that
We'll
there
just-
is something going on in his
We'll
life.
see how she. We'll see
Yeah,
how
we're
she
gonna see how
phrases
she-
it in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow being enslaved. That was essentially the accusation. And because of the popularity of Steven Crowder, we were inundated, quite literally inundated with comments of people believing this conspiracy, absent too many facts, really omitting facts that would have removed people from believing.
The way she talks,
Yes,
and the way her eyes are fluttering, it kind of makes it seem like she's trying to actually say more than she really is, and she's
been snarky.
Yeah, she is.
She's very snarky.
That conspiracy, and so I was angry. I felt righteous in my anger on Tim Pool when I was defending.
That's the reason I don't like watching her. That's the whole reason I don't like watching her. Is that
I know.
It's always the same demeanor. She always comes across the same way. So arrogant and snarky about everything.
Yeah.
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 All right.
The person, right? And this morning, as I was praying, my husband and I are in 1 Corinthians right now. I came across this.
Again, so many references to Christianity, and
but this is how these platforms are. Everybody does this. This is their
Okay,
MO.
that's fair to put it in the context of her shtick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to read it to you.
They're pro-Christian, pro-Republic, pro-conservative, pro. Okay, so this is their format.
Yeah.
It's 1 Corinthians chapter 10, 23 to 24. It reads, I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive. No one should seek their own good, but the good of others. And that really stuck with me. Because I have a right to my anger, right? I have a right to my anger, but is it actually beneficial? And in this circumstance, I would say it was not beneficial for me to be angry because in my anger, I removed myself from something that was quite obvious. I was not able to see the big picture.
She's using the scripture on herself, which I think is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. She's reflecting. Self-reflection.
Well,
first anyways. I mean, she might go into it for someone else, but I do appreciate the fact that she didn't immediately go, there's a scripture and he's not doing this. She's saying, I could have done better in this instance based on what I was reading today or whatever.
The interesting one is that right now she seems like, oh, my anger was misplaced. And then her show the very next day, she's right back into the mad at Steven Crowder thing because he
doesn't that he said something. Let's just get through this.
Yeah.
Sure. Essentially, I missed the forest for the trees. Over the weekend, I was given a lot more information regarding Steven Crowder, a lot more background information.
She says she was given the information there.
Yeah, but she also goes on to explain how she actually got to that information in her video that she did yesterday. So,
but yesterday doesn't have anything to do with what Steven Crowder knew when he saw this.
That's what I'm saying. So we just play.
So if she's saying go back, if she's saying I have more information from someone in the background, he could think, oh fuck.
Yeah, because
he didn't play that though.
He doesn't need to play that part of it. He's showing us where he got his theory. He doesn't have to show us every little piece of it.
So we're doing the research and we've got this and then we've got that to look at. We've got enough information to say, okay, we can make a judgment at the end.
Regarding what could have possibly led to this moment. And not to my surprise at all, obviously, this really doesn't have anything to do with the Daily Wire. And his actions are a symptom of something much larger. And I want to choose my words very carefully here because I'm not angry anymore.
So
Steven had.
So do you think, being that he was actually going through the situation that he was, and that the Daily Wire had offered him something, if he would have taken the Daily Wire thing before this was finalized, that it would have actually financially burdened him even further because she would have gotten even more out of it?
Potentially.
What?
But
Potentially, yeah.
I'm so confused.
Did he not do the Daily Wire thing because he was going through these proceedings?
the thing is, he's
It
admitted
would have
the
cost him more
divorce.
because he would have been making more?
He's admitted the point of the divorce up until yesterday, so nobody knew that was a factor in his reasoning.
Well, the thing about the Daily Wire contract is that the penalties that they would put against him
Were
would
unreasonable.
completely negate the
There
money that
wasn't-
they were offering him in the salary.
There was no Daily Wire contract. There was a first negotiation offered. No one signed a contract, nothing.
Well,
He
right,
didn't
he refused.
negotiate a contract. There wasn't one.
He refused the contract, but it is a paper that he could have signed and accepted their offer and been bound by.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Did he
contracts are
refuse that
negotiated
because
routinely, and he knows that.
He was going through a divorce.
Well,
That's
the
the
question,
thing.
That could have been a big, huge deciding factor on him actually deciding to actually do that or not.
so I don't
You
know
can't
much.
discount that as not being something.
But she filed.
Yeah, my question would be, once you file the papers, even if it's still in proceeding, is money you make after that considered part of the
Yes.
negotiation?
It is?
It is. Yes, it is.
Oh, shit.
Any income that you make is considered for child support.
Oh, child support. I wasn't thinking
Yeah,
that. I was thinking of what she would
Child
get.
support, or
Alimony.
I don't think she would have qualified for spousal support. I don't know if Texas has that or not.
Good question.
Um,
Like, maybe that's why he publicly came out and said, I'm not signing this contract. Because what a weird thing to do. But if he needed, like, it to be a public thing that he's not getting any money at the moment, you know what I mean? I don't know. A lot of what he does makes no sense.
Grimsbar says that she's visualizing getting that information.
Yeah,
It was likely in text. Look at her neck.
possibly. I mean, do you send personal information about another person in text?
Yeah.
Oh, how many people have been caught out by DMs and sharing people's information that way?
Mhm.
Come on now.
Right.
You know, people is stupid. Okay, well,
Has a lot going on, I guess.
See, I don't know. It just
she literally.
Can she
She
Sorry.
literally
add-
said, I guess.
look,
No,
Did she live?
she said Crowder has a lot
going on? And she shook her head and you paused.
Yeah.
What's up?
Well, it's just because like it. Never mind.
He does, though, right?
We'll get to it, but it's like she's like, oh, I at this point she's claiming she's assuming all of this because they're not friends on Instagram anymore.
Sup, Lucky Chucky?
But
No,
she's
can
not
we, no,
wrong.
but we can't
Publicly-
interject. We can't interject that just yet because we don't know this. She hasn't disclosed that at this point. We have to wait till we get to the next video to interject these points because at the moment we're confusing everything. Let's finish hearing what she has to say in
That's
20.
the best way to say it.
the
He has a lot
24th
going on,
January.
and that should be clear because a lot not angry anymore. Stephen has a lot going on. I guess is the best way to say it. He has a lot going on, and that should be clear because people don't do stuff like this if there's not a lot going on in their lives. You don't sell out your friend. You don't record conversations. These things are actions of individuals that are perhaps acting out of desperation. You have to dig deeper. You have to look deeper
Pause.
to fully understand the picture.
So she was also called out at this point for recording Nicole Arbor in the past in their previous conversations and then exposing it.
But she's
Yeah.
saying friends. Was Nicole Arbor her friend?
yes. Yes,
People
they
be
were very
hypocrites.
close.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Of why
Hey, Lucky Chucky. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for joining us. That's a pause.
somebody might do that. And it's certainly not because somebody is upset with a $50 million contract. And because I now am more aware of certain information, rather than being angry, I would like to implore my audience and everybody that
Pause.
isn't paying attention to the situation.
I was giving her a little bit of a pass. I was saying, she said he's going through a lot. She said it twice. He's going through a lot. And I thought, of course, because publicly he had the surgery and the babies and now the 50. She said, I don't think it's the contract. So mentally I went back. I'm like, all right, we've got babies and surgery and almost dying, right? And now she just said, but then I got new information that makes me think a thing. So it's not those things that she's speaking of right now.
But she didn't say it maliciously, though. She was like, it's made me pull back and say,
No.
okay, he's going through stuff. We need to pray for him.
But this is why he's saying she's dropping an Easter egg here, because there's more information that now she's privy to that just pray.
That's why we need to watch
He's
the
going
next
through
video as well.
something.
That's why we need to watch the next video as well.
It's important to listen to her words right now in this video, because this is what he heard in his feelings or not.
Right.
Not to condemn him, but to pray for him. Sometimes people need a prayer. Sometimes people need a scripture. You know, Stephen purports to be a Christian, and I believe that he needs to lean into his faith. And I am certain that in the near future, more information will come out. I do not think it is my place to say more than that. Well, probably what I should say is I am unsure at this moment if it is my place to say more than that. You know,
It's never gonna be
maybe
your
if I
place,
feel in further defense, some things should be said, or maybe if I feel that the public has a right to understand certain circumstances. But at this moment, I think I would just like to carefully back out. I am genuinely praying for Stephen Crowder. I am praying that he is reminded that there is always help.
Praying for him. That's great that she's genuinely praying for him.
And she said she wants to back out of it. She doesn't want anything to do with it. And she said nothing until he brought it up again yesterday.
No, that's not true.
Okay, what did she say? When?
The very next day.
But did she bring up the divorce is what I'm saying? Did she?
No.
Well, no,
she said she got new information and that she's not sure if she should share that information, and that if she thinks she needs to, she will.
Well, what I'm saying is, in the way that this whole thing has gone down, she's saying that she's going to take a step back and stop talking about Crowder in general, the contract, everything, because he's going through a lot, and she thinks that he's projecting his anger from his personal problems onto the Daily Wire, so she's going to take a step back. But then the very next day, she spends another 20 minutes ripping into Crowder on her show about
the next day after this is filmed, after episode 78 is filmed, you're saying?
Yep.
Yes.
Episode 79.
That's interesting.
Help in the form of the Lord. And again, I implore my audiences to just hope that he finds the truth and that he comes to the truth. And honestly, from the bottom of my heart, that is all that I'm going to say about that. All right, I want to take a second to.
Okay,
right.
so that's an ad spot.
Shoulder pads suck, but we got it.
Yeah, so that's that. She won't. That's the end of that topic now. She would have moved on to something.
She's
else.
like, I put my mom's outfit on. She looks like a little girl playing in her mom's closet. All right, what's next?
All right.
You're going to play 79 then, since there's.
Do you want to hear her the next day talking about it if there's another Easter egg in there?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I have like 50 tabs open. So episode 79, which is premiered January 24th, 2023. The one that we just watched is
23rd.
Episode 78 from the 23rd. Yeah. So let me see it.
All right, 79. I just ran through 79 transcript with a text search function, right?
Yeah.
There's 2239.
Yeah, that's right. I got that queued up. Yep.
Okay, and let me see if there's any more. Yeah, go grab that one. See what she says.
This is teamwork. I love this, by the way. Well done, Moosey.
It's fun.
Greatest detective to roam the earth ever.
Yeah. She mentions him again at 24 minutes, 25 minutes.
So basically, it's a segment.
A few minutes, yeah.
Yep. It's this. It's 22:36 all the way to the end. Basically, she's gonna play clips from the Timcast appearance.
And this is okay.
This is the next show.
I kind of like her hair right here. I'm digging this.
Should cover, obviously, people have been following the back and forth between the Daily Wire and Steven Crowder, who launched this movement, if you even want to call it that, Stop a Big Con, after he received a $50 million, not contract, but a term sheet, essentially a conversation starter from the Daily Wire, and then kind of came back and said, well, I don't think 50 million is enough. $120 million
Oh my gosh,
would be better.
she looks cute right here.
Daily Wire said, we're not going to play ball for $120 million. And Steven Crowder then took a couple of months to gather his thoughts.
Because I do want to point out, she just admitted that Crowder did come back with a counteroffer.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Could you go back? I was looking at her face.
Came back and said, well, I don't think 50 million is enough. $120 million would be better. Daily Wire said, we're not going to play ball for $120 million. And Steven Crowder then took a couple of months to gather his thoughts, then decided to call our CEO, Jeremy Boring, and to...
I believe Crowder said that too.
Wow. I didn't hear that before. That's the first time I'm hearing that part of it. So he did try to negotiate it and ask for 120. Okay.
Yeah, because
I don't think they tell us that during their fight. They're back and forth.
He says that on the Timcast episode, because I was scrolling through that before we hopped on here. He has emails back.
Seems an important detail to leave out during the initial telling us about contract stuff.
357. It's not that she making it sound bad. It's just the way she delivers stuff. She's very sharp with her delivery, so it doesn't come across very caring at all.
Nope.
And I think
let's end this poll. This poll that we started the show off with has been up for over a couple of hours. It'll be almost 3 hours since it's been up. If you haven't hit the poll, hit the poll. If you haven't hit the like button, also do that. We're going to end the poll and we'll ask it a new question. And do we think Candace Owens was right to do any of this? I don't know, some kind of question.
Not yet though.
Hold on. 357 said, and she made it sound bad that he took 2 months to make a decision as opposed to a whim. Did she say they rejected it and then 2 months to tell us about his decision? That's where the 2 months came in.
We'll go the 3 minutes before we end the poll, and then we'll do that.
People are still choosing sides.
So Crowder actually brings emails from Timcast between himself, his agent, and Daily Wire, talking about the point counter offer. Daily Wire says no, that's ridiculous, sort of thing.
Okay, I didn't watch Timcast, so I just find it frustrating. It's like, you should have told me that. That's part of the. It seems like part of the story.
Is she going to cover it here though? So
she might.
Kind of came back and said, well, I don't think 50 million is enough. $120 million would be better. Daily Wire said, we're not going to play ball for $120 million. And Steven Crowder then took a couple of months to gather his thoughts, then decided to call our CEO, Jeremy Boring, and to record him, to take him out of context and to release all of this onto the internet, and said, oh, actually, I was never going to take this contract. I think that they're big cons because they're colluding somehow with big tech, because we're on YouTube just like he's on YouTube, but Daily Wire is not demonetized and he is. You know the whole back forth. We don't need to get into it. Yesterday,
because Daily Wire is not demonetized and he is?
Yeah, because he's controversial and they aren't. So he's being punished by YouTube and they aren't. So, yeah. Was there more to what
he went on to Tim.
Oh, carry on. Sorry, just me talking to myself.
Pool. He heavily.
That's the hard hitting part. You need to hear what you're saying to yourself.
Absolutely.
Because that's probably the more important part about it.
Yeah, I still think.
I'm going to be on tonight.
Just press play.
Answer all the questions. What actually happened was he answered none of the questions. He dodged a lot of the questions. And Tim Pool, who I like very much, did not push back on this. And that was very much the consensus in the comments and the consensus on Twitter was, why didn't you ask him about his own employee contracts? He soured a lot of relationships with his former employees, Sven the computer, not gay Jared. No questions were asked about that throughout this entire interview about whether or not he was holding
hold
them.
on a second.
And they were.
Yeah.
The not gay Jared issue wasn't a contract issue.
Who's gay Jared?
Not gay.
It was a previous. Basically, he played quarter black Garrett's role back in the day when it first started. He's like producer / like made clips occasionally.
Okay. So
And then he
top
left
the
Daily
hour.
Wire.
Anybody that hasn't hit the first poll that I erected should do so.
Oh gosh.
Okay, jeez Louise.
I'm sorry, chat.
We're gonna end that. We're gonna end that poll. We're gonna. So
I like hearing how she heard that Tim Pool interview because we're gonna get to hear a little bit of it, right? To see if he answered any questions and.
Yeah, you know what she was saying there, right? She's,
Yeah,
I like Tim Pool, but guys, he's a bitch.
He's offensive.
I had an opinion on the Steven Crowder Candace Owens thing. 15% were with Crowder, 3% was with Candace Owens. Thank you everybody for actually contributing to that poll. We're going to erect another poll.
Wait, could you tell me the percentages again? I didn't hear it.
It's 15% for Steven Crowder, 3% for Candace Owens.
15 and 3?
Yes.
Yep.
And 60%.
60% said need more information. 20% said they did not care. They hit the like button.
That's pretty good. I love that. 60% are willing to wait till they know more. I love you guys for that.
Yeah.
So should we ask another whose side are you on? See if anybody's changed their minds.
Okay.
Towards the end.
We could just ask them, do you hate this?
we can
Yes or
ask
no?
We can leave it up for the next hour because we got lots of stuff to go through here. Right?
Here's my question: is how authentic do people think Candace Owens is really being at this point?
Or a better way, who do you think is more authentic, Steven Crowder or Candace Owens?
I think Crowder is authentic. I think he's a little off the reservation with this shit, but I think she is not really authentic as far as that goes. He seems like he's in it.
I can't tell yet based on this yet.
And put an I don't care.
I'm trying to put my bias aside for what I think about her. Because
don't forget the third option.
My bias for her is that she didn't research a story I knew about. This story she knows about. So my bias doesn't even really apply to this, it seems like. So I'm just, I don't know if she seems like disingenuous yet. I don't trust him though. I think he does seem like I don't know.
I think he was definitely reading a script during the first video we played.
Yeah,
it's on the iPad. You can see.
There you go. There's a new poll.
He's looking into the camera, but you can see his eyes are constantly glancing towards that tablet he has on his desk, referencing his script. It might just be bullet points, but it still feels like a script.
You can generally tell when someone's like following like a line of text versus like just looking at like notes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
Not allowed to speak out on why those relationships that he's had with his own employees have soured, or why none of his employees are speaking up on his behalf. It's kind of an interesting contrast that you have people at the Daily Wire that are upset, understandably, of how have been portrayed by somebody who alleges he was a great friend of Jeremy Boring and Ben Shapiro. But you don't see this on the side of Steven Crowder. And he has soured a lot of relationships, not just with the Daily Wire, all across the board. Speak to any conservative company, big or small. They don't like to work with him.
Yeah, she's reading too, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily her thought. That's also her writer's thought.
That's the team. That's the date. She's reading the Daily Wire's conglomerate thoughts, though.
Yeah.
Or it's the approved talking point.
Because I'm sure if you were to go through all the other guys, Michael Knowles and whoever else is on the Daily Wire, they'd be all saying the same stuff too. Because I'm sure Matt Walsh was saying something similar. So they have a copy-paste script, but they deliver it in their own way, basically.
They get bullet points.
Yeah.
For sure.
Still looks like a bathrobe. Yeah, she
No, yeah.
cozy.
It's like a
She
nightgown.
look all sexy today.
She ready.
Comes to bed, baby. Can we press play, please?
Make sure Boomer doesn't have any thoughts in there.
And he has been very nasty to people behind the scenes. I'm just telling you what I know. You can fact check me in your own capacity. Now, two things that he said during this interview. He first tried to assert, and I want to point to this because this was really so crucial to me, was that if he received this term sheet and he was just so outraged by the terms and it was completely a non-starter, why did he come back to the Daily Wire with a $120 million offer? And what you'll see is that he says, we never did that. And then he very quickly says, maybe my agent or manager did do that. And then changes the subject very quickly, which is
pause.
Did do that. Essentially, you say
abort.
T-Rex. What the bloody hell?
Stepped away, Paul.
Maybe he
You're
was
not allowed to
laughing
step
too
away
hard.
when you
No, I'm trying to do
hard.
live research while
Yeah.
Well, see, that's why you leave the producing to the producer. Oh.
I sent you all the links. They're right there.
You wanted to do it.
Okay, one of the things about employment contracts is you start with an offer. Generally, the employer lowballs the offer. The person comes back with a higher offer, expecting them to lowball them again, but raise it up from the first offer. And this can go back and forth, and that's normal for that to happen in the corporate world. It really is. You can go back with like 4 or 5 different offers before you settle on, okay, this is going to be my salary. This is going to be the duration. These are the terms.
He said that he didn't want anything to do with it at all. So why did he go back with terms? What would make her think that he came back with terms of anything higher? I thought, if I'm not mistaken, I thought that he took off on the whole thing.
Apparently, on Timcast, he's going to show the receipts about this $120 million offer, or what?
He supposedly did. He came with
We'll have to see.
emails. Oh, he did. Did he show them, or did he say he had them?
So far, we haven't heard it today.
I don't think Timcast had actually loaded them up for everybody to see. Yeah. But from my understanding is he showed them to Tim Pool and his producers.
Yeah, Crowder had them like in his hand in paper copy.
So, well, Candace says what happened? Candace says he rejects the contract, sends 120, but then denies he did that, and then this is weird.
Yeah.
So did I see you skip forward on this?
I went back a little bit too far because when you guys started saying pause.
Oh, okay.
So let me know if I'm about where we stopped.
No, I just there was something that she had said that I was like, no, she needed to be questioned on why she would even say it. But
that part,
I don't know. I think we kind of hit on it, if I'm not mistaken.
Gotcha.
This term sheet, and he was just so outraged by the terms, and it was completely a non-starter. Why did he come back to the Daily Wire with a $120 million offer?
That right
what you'll
there.
see is that he says,
why did he come back to with the Daily Wire offer? Did he actually offer something? Say I need something better than that. Here, I got this offer. It wasn't something that was closer to his means and seeing what his wife would get from him. Because I
think he explains that later on, because one of the things in his contract that Candace doesn't have in hers is that Steven Crowder was responsible for all of the expenses of the studio, the equipment, the employees. Right. That was all his financial responsibility. Uh-huh. Candace Owens doesn't have that responsibility.
Yeah.
Also, in the 10cast episode, they talk about how, just on his own with the Mug Club memberships, he can, make $100 million a year fairly easily with the amount of people that watch him.
So he doesn't need the Daily Wire.
Yeah. He doesn't need the
Okay.
Daily Wire. And if he were to partner with the Daily Wire, it needs to be at least equal to how much he can make being independent.
He clearly wanted to.
Okay, let's get on with this.
We never did that. And then he very quickly says, maybe my agent or manager did do that, and then changes the subject very quickly, which is maybe my agent did do that, is essentially you saying, yeah, that happened. We countered. Take a listen to Steven Crowder.
So there was no counteroffer, because I'm seeing a lot of you guys say
there was the agent. I think my agent, the first they sent this term sheet. The agent said, "Well, if you're talking about 100% ownership, by the way, in perpetuity, forever, meaning, and it's a 6-year contract with no option to negotiate. They have an option to extend for 2 years, 6 years, locked in at that rate. And again, right? How do you penalize someone for money that they don't make? They're not going to lose money on you being demonetized. Now, I get that I'm a special situation, but they said this is demanded of everybody."
So there you go. It's no, absolutely. I think my agent maybe, again, it was about whether or not it was going to be 6 years. Pretty obvious, should be very obvious to every single person that essentially what he's saying is, well, maybe my...
See, the reason this is so muddied is because, you know, both of them are taking these little clips out of a much larger conversation that, you know, fits their narrative.
Clipping out of context is a thing we all know much very well, don't we? Especially when the other side say that's not what really happened.
I bet several of us have plenty of ideas on where that could actually be. You know,
I'll disavow.
What? What?
Bloody hell!
Agent, yes, your agent got back and said,
You can't. She just was a pause. It was a bad pause. Leave her alone.
I think she's angry because
She's not even scowling.
The situation. She doesn't need to be in this. If Steven wasn't doing what he was doing, she wouldn't be part of this.
Do you guys think that Jeremy told her that he offered Crowder $50 million? I think that she just learned that he was offered $50 million. And she's still kind of
no, because she knows she. Oh yeah, I don't know.
She is.
I don't think she knew about it at the time.
I don't think so. I think she found out $50 million because if you look at her reaction on Timcast, she is furious.
She is talent. She's no different than Britt Cormier, to be honest. She's not one of the founding members. She is not a board member. She is just strictly talent only.
Mm-hmm.
And she wouldn't be part of these discussions unless someone is bringing things in for her to discuss certain points during her podcasts.
Well, this video would have come out after Jeremy Boring reading the unredacted version of the contract. So the $50 million is out there now for everyone to know.
It was either a couple days before or after this video that she had another video where she said, we are doing this. We're going this way.
That's the last video that she did yesterday. That's why I'm like, can we not keep because
So
$20 million.
She's putting herself together with the Daily Wire as like a whole. She's she doesn't think of herself as just talent with them. She thinks she's part of the Wire.
Because he's saying big con, and they're in on this big con, and they're holding water for this big con that they're all trying to get you in on. He put her in this situation.
And hi, Suzanne. Hi, Caitlin.
Right? Hi, Caitlin.
Howdy,
Suzanne.
I think she chose to jump into this head first. She was not a part of it until she went on to Timcast and had a meltdown.
That's right.
But that's what I'm trying to explain to you. They've all did on their own shows. They all addressed it, but she's the one that went on Tim Pool.
Did Crowder mention her in this thing at all until after she went on Tim Pool?
No.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. So she brought herself into this.
When he says that these people that this is what's going on, did he not group Daily Wire as the people who work there, or did they do that for themselves?
They did that for themselves.
Okay, they took it personally.
Yeah, he did not say who the contract was from when he first announced it. It did not come out that it was Daily Wire until Jeremy Boring came out and said, "This is our contract." And it's not actually a
That's right.
contract, it's a term sheet, because
Yeah.
that's the term that
Initial
they were
offer.
using. Yeah, it's an initial offer. It's a term sheet. You know, if you want to come work with us, this is what we can give you.
Yeah.
So it was a starting conversation. You knew that this was taking place. And I don't even, like I said, I'm past anger with the situation. I do feel bad for him because I know more of what's going on in the background. And I do believe that this is a man that is spiraling. But it's so important that we inject truth into this. And you cannot say that you were so offended by a contract, so offended, so mortally wounded by the concept of a contract that your agent, as if you guys don't speak, went back and said, okay, 120 million. And then that, you're right. After that, Daily Wire never came back with any other term sheet. It was never a contract whatsoever. And then the second thing, which I thought was borderline delusional, was
doesn't make a lot of sense, because Daily Wire guy was like, it's a contract, you come back. And then we start negotiating. Well, if his agent did come back, why was that the end of it? You know what I mean? Like, why didn't they say, no, 150, I see you're 50, you got 120, let's start 75. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somewhere he said, I knew we needed to come up. So it's like, why didn't either of them negotiate? What the heck? None of this
It's
feels
like-
real. Is this
it's
Truman
just
Show
like-
shit?
Basic negotiation, right? Low ball, high ball, meet in the middle.
him likening himself to James O'Keefe when people are rightfully outraged that irrespective of what you thought about this term sheet, you would record your friend and then release contents of the conversation chopped up so people can't discern the context whatsoever. Here's what he had to say about that.
If you had the ability, if someone's going out saying, hey, you're a difficult person who only cares about the money, and that you're and you had the opportunity to clear it in because it was verifiably untrue, which now no one is arguing, would you do it? How else would people switch from it was about a $50 million salary to, oh, recording a phone call? Do we allow it when James O'Keefe does it? Is it only when corruption is on the side of the left?
That's nothing short of delusional. I mean, James
Okay, hold
O'Keefe
on.
does some of the
He's saying he was just doing some investigative reporting for us? The journalism?
The journalism.
Good point. Why is it absurd? This is Grimmy in chat. Why is it absurd for Crowder to be put off by the offer, but it's okay for Daily Wire to be put off by Crowder's counter? It's the same. His recording that was fubbed up. Tilly says, I can't see who's on panel. Tiny icons and invisible name. Tilly, there's Koolfrogg, T-Rex, Moose, Beautifully Inappropriate, me, and Boomher. Boomher is at the very bottom on our chicken farm.
So,
the point of her saying, well, he recorded Jeremy and he shouldn't have done that, when she has done the same thing to other people, especially Nicole Arbor, specifically in a very heinous and horrific way.
Hold on, that's interesting. So I don't know that story, and I do want to hear it. It's definitely not going to be stuck in the middle
Not
of
for
this
today.
It's not for today.
Yeah,
Definitely not for
okay.
today. It's a whole other.
I really, really want to hear that. But so she right now, she just now said, what'd she say about it? About recording? Since I'm going to hear that later, I'm curious. Thank you.
Terrible that he did it.
Recording a phone call. Do we allow it when James O'Keefe does it? Is it only when corruption is on the side of the left?
That's nothing short of delusional. I mean, James O'Keefe does some of the most important work in this movement. He's not recording his friends talking about $50 million and $120 million contracts and offers.
So the thing is, I think there's a difference. Look, you can be friends, but like when you're negotiating that much money, like you put the friendship in a box and you're talking like businessman to businessman sort of thing when you're talking about that much money.
Yeah, it's definitely business. And it sounds like they made an offer. He made a counter offer, and now it's over. 2 months later, he's like, you know what? I've been stewing about this contract, and I think they're going to try to fuck other people in this way. Let me do some recording and record the person as close as I can get to the top and put it out there as like, here's my journalism or whatever.
Here's the thing.
True,
Daily Wire
Tilly.
didn't reject it or counter it in any way. They just stopped talking to him.
Yeah.
And so Stephen called Jeremy boring after they didn't respond to say, hey, what's up? And he recorded that conversation. That's the conversation he recorded.
Oh, he hadn't heard anything. They didn't reject it at all. He's like, sent the offer,
Correct.
sent email, and then just wait. They left nothing. That's
we can
interesting.
watch that video next. I think that's a good place to go.
Nerd's gonna come join us.
Nerd is so frustrated with us. He probably knows
Actually,
that.
we need to get to
We'll let him
finish
come
what
in
happened
here.
yesterday first, because we're breaking this extra long and getting away from the connection of his video yesterday that we've already played.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
It seems like we're just tearing Candace apart now.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
everything
yeah.
that
You're
she
right.
said in
we'll get to tearing him apart too, because it is what it is.
I do think we're done.
But this is so. Can we just finish this then? Because I'm like, 20
What he is
past
doing is he is going undercover in organizations like Pfizer in the middle of lockdowns and speaking to individuals and executives, trying to figure out whether they are intentionally harming individuals, whether or not they are intentionally poisoning individuals, whether or not they are intentionally censoring individuals like they are doing over at Twitter, whether or not they are targeting our freedoms, our constitutional freedoms, like the freedom of speech. Okay, that is such serious, important work. I am one of James O'Keefe's biggest cheerleaders and supporters, because I have watched him from the beginning, how hard and the effort that he has made to build what he had.
Okay.
We're literally on this video just to see how she spoke of him the next day to prove that she was still kind of
with us.
She didn't step out of it like she said in the day before. That's all that meant. She said, I'm going to back out of this, but also here I am still in it. Tilly T's asking if this is something big. It's actually Steven Crowder's divorce. Candace Owens speaking up on it because he kind of accused somebody somewhere of extorting him. And so we're trying to look at the videos and figure out where it started. It's not necessarily big, but it's something we thought we'd debate on, because some of us are in the center and some of us are on either side. And so we want to just look at facts and feel what it looks like to us, I guess.
I'm here to keep y'all focused. Come on.
So poll's currently looking 20% Crowder, 7% Owens, 27% need more, and 47% said hit that like button. So
yeah.
All right, nerds. Thoughts so far since you just joined the panel?
Okay, one thing that needs to be made very clear. Rex, you said earlier, Steven showed a redacted version. It needs to be made perfectly clear that the only thing he redacted in that entire video was the names and personal information of the other side. It was this is the thing that it seems to be getting lost in the mud. It was not Crowder who outed the Daily Wire. It was they themselves that outed it. Then Candace, for some crazy reason, I've thought this the whole time, he even saying anything about it. Why did she feel the need to inject herself?
Hold on. Outpost, I'm just going to pause you for a second because we might lose Tilly. Tilly, who's in chat? Grimmy, could you type to Tilly that she might not be live? Because I replied to her with my voice and she didn't hear that. So she must.
Yeah, I did as well. I
just want her to, maybe she's not on live yet. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Nerd. I just don't want to lose Tilly because we love her and I like to listen. Okay, go ahead.
That's the thing with this. She felt the need to interject with between the COO and a third party. Why she is a third party? Well, she's the third party in this. She should never. And if I was Jeremy Boring or Ben Shapiro, I would have called her into the office and told her, "Keep out of this. Keep your mouth shut." Because this has alienated so many people from her show. I don't watch her anymore since all this.
I also say that the others addressed it as well? It wasn't just her. They should have told them all to shut up. All of them, like, don't address it. Leave it alone. It's between
we're
management.
talking about her, and she has been the loudest voice about this.
That's why I'm saying it feels like we're tearing Candace apart right now. Addressing this instead of addressing the divorce situation.
We're just talking about her right now.
We don't. It's
There's no rush. We're good.
I know there's no rush, but I'm just saying it's like
And
we have to take into context though that everybody else on the Daily Wire addressed it. Yes, she might have been the loudest, but they also did it too.
Addressed it and
It's
moved
not just
on.
her. It's not just her though.
Addressed it and moved on. She has not. Clearly, she has not.
Never mind. Because this is an old video. This is from January. Do know?
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
And he didn't. She didn't bring it up again until yesterday when he brought it up. You do know that. So tell me how.
Well, she said she wasn't going to bring it up, and then she brought it up like the next stream. So I don't know how many more times she brought it up afterwards, but I can kind of do a quick search to see.
Opie, she's been talking the whole time. I just got in here, was asked for my point of view, so I'm trying to give it.
And I'm trying to explain that,
And the thing is, we don't know what is going. We honestly, we heard Steven. My wife is leaving me because she wants out. Okay, we don't know if it was infidelity. We really don't know. Yes, we don't know the details yet. Is where I'm getting to. So this accusation, it was the babies or his illness or her postpartum depression is not a witch hunt.
Who said that?
I'm not interrupting him. I'm in the chat.
Oh my god! And the thing. Trying to get my train of thought back.
Yeah, no worries. Sorry.
You want to roll the video for a little bit?
Yeah, let's do that.
So first up, let's talk about Steven Crowder. A lot of you guys have probably seen his live stream this morning where he brings me up. So we're going to have to respond to that, obviously, because he makes some pretty heavy implications and insinuations in his video that are...
Why, obviously, does she need to actually be brought up in this? Why is it obvious that either one of them needs to be talking about the other? It's kind of like the same crap that you have almost everywhere in almost any community. That somebody says something and everybody else feels it's necessary, to bring it up.
It's
if you mention my name,
right to reply.
Right. If you mention my name and play my video, I'm going to go ahead and reply.
On this video?
This is
right
yesterday.
Here.
This one's yesterday now.
Okay.
This is the most current
one. It's obviously necessary.
It is
for her
necessary.
to continue.
No.
Okay.
No,
Sometimes
say my name and play my video and talk about
you
extortion.
keep going back and forth forever.
Right. I mean, obviously, it's good content because
this is why we try to keep it focused.
It's bringing us all here to actually, speak of the situation. Okay, go ahead.
Are so patently false, and it's shocking to me that a man with his following would be stupid enough to put this onto a platform. So let's first back this up in case you don't know who Steven Crowder is. It's totally plausible. He sort of lives on the internet. Steven Crowder is somebody who has a show called Louder with Crowder, who had something very terrible happen to him at the end of last year. The Daily Wire came to him with a $50 million term sheet. He was offered $50 million. I know, horrible, terrible. He was so upset by this that he then decided to do a video in which he calls out essentially all of the Daily Wire hosts, myself included, for accepting slave-like contracts. These were
that's what I was saying. Didn't he kind of like loop
Didn't
them
we
all
go
in?
through this?
That's really not what he said. He said he didn't want. He was coming out. This is what he said. I don't know if he was. This is what he says. He says, "I'm coming out with this because I don't want other younger creators, newer creators, to get locked into these almost slave wages." That's where she's getting the slave wage.
We might have to watch that.
I would agree. We might have to actually watch that because when it comes down to it,
no, we didn't.
And as a creator, knowing what it's not slave wages. It's doing what you actually care about doing, and that's what it always should be. But they always have the tendency to forget about it eventually when all of a sudden it comes to these amounts of money over and over again. I'm going to tell you, that's what it is. It's the money. The money starts talking for you, and this is kind of stuff that actually comes out of it. You start talking about each other. You can't just drop it. You can't, leave it alone, as creators. And it just, go ahead.
the very heavy implications of that video, that his followers needed to stop Big Con talking about how we are all existing and we're kowtowing. And of course, we responded forcefully to this because it's simply not true. The idea that I'm somehow in bed with big tech or that I'm dishonest in what I do simply because we didn't accept, I guess, his counter offer to the $50 million contract is clearly ridiculous. Now, why are we talking about?
Oh, because she's a Daily Wire spokesperson right here, huh?
It doesn't. Okay.
So that was it.
What?
That's it?
No, it's not. We're not even close.
And well, in closing back in January, I essentially said that we were no longer going to talk about Steven Crowder, and I instead offered that people should pray for him because obviously, when a man does something like that, he is broken. You don't do something like that to your friends unless there is something going on in your personal life. Well, Steven Crowder announced this morning that he is going through a divorce, and I want to show you bits of that video. Take a listen.
But needed to take a moment here to address some issues out there that are circulating. It's never fun. But, well, I guess let me be clear here. I have been living with a proverbial boot on my neck for going on years now. Since 2021, I've been living through.
This is the first video we just watched, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. She's playing clips of his video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
To put what she's got to say into context.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he's saying boot on my neck but means to say monkey on my back?
No, it's the same thing. It's the fancy George Floyd reference that people use these days. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same thing at all.
I've heard both used interchangeably. So I don't think he misspoke there. I really don't.
He didn't misspeak.
That's extreme then.
So it looks like on Twitter, Candace, the last time she mentioned Crowder, except for yesterday, was the 22nd of January. Whether she made tweets and deleted them, I don't know. That's just what's still up. But what's there?
Good job.
Okay. Man. So it's
Twitter Advanced Search Reacher. Thank you very much.
Search Reacher.
Through
awesome. Check
what
out
has increasingly been a horrendous.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Don't worry about it.
This divorce. Now, let me say on the outset, to be clear, there is no infidelity, any kind of physical abuse at all on either side. And no, this was not my choice.
Okay, so in the open, you get it. Steven Crowder is a victim. Once again, he's always a martyr for his belief. He's always a victim. And this time, it's the proverbial boot on the neck. He's literally George Floyd. So the idea here is you need to feel really bad for Steven Crowder right away because he's got a boot on his neck. Let's see what else he said.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with the idea of extortion, then you know the feeling well. Now, some of these threats were so thinly veiled that I'm frankly surprised.
That's a little weird. I don't like that phrasing. He said, if you're familiar with extortion, then you know the feeling well. Just because you know what extortion is doesn't mean you know what it feels like to be extorted.
That's what I was. Yeah. Okay.
Oh wait, Grim said George Floyd was a knee, not a boot. So technically, you're right. He didn't. He's invoking a way to say something and not an image of something that happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't all guess immediately.
Steven has a lot going on. I guess is the best way to say it. He has a lot going on, and that should be clear because people don't do stuff like this if there's not a lot going on in their lives. I would like to implore my audience and everybody that isn't paying attention to the situation not to condemn him, but to pray for him. Sometimes people need a prayer. Sometimes people need a scripture. You know, Steven purports to be a Christian. I am unsure at this moment if it is my place to say more than that. You know, maybe if I feel in further defense, some things should be said, or maybe if I feel that the public has a right to understand certain circumstances.
Oh, my children have a right to privacy.
Pause for a second, Rex, if you don't mind. It is not her place to come out with this about this kind of stuff. It's really not.
She didn't.
She didn't
Yeah,
know.
but she said in the future if it
And she
seems like
didn't.
it's in the public interest.
And she didn't.
Yes, I'm saying, but even if it is in the public interest, it's not her place to talk about it.
She's
You can see how she like that could be seen by him as like kind of
Yeah,
under
but
breath, like don't
okay,
you know.
okay, but considering that she didn't, and we're here now, and he's the one that brought it up, and he's saying these things. Come on, that's why. Let's just play the video.
You claim we're Candace bashing beautifully. You better Crowder bashing
I
the
better.
entire time.
I haven't said a damn thing. Let's not go there, nerd, please.
You have to.
Oh, we'll get there.
Can somebody tell me where I've been bashing Crowder? I would love to know. All I've been saying is let's play.
a coded.
But
thread for me.
is it her place to come out with say anything or not?
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, nerd. If she has put herself in the position of informing the public on issues that are public events or issues, and this becomes one of them, she's basically saying, "I reserve my right to talk about this later, possibly." Right?
Okay, but my question again is that right, or is that the right thing to do? Is that the morally right thing to do?
She's a reporter. See, what's happening is it's business again.
I mean, like,
I think this is more personal than. Sorry, Rex, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I mean, it's just like, I mean, is it morally right for, James O'Keefe to, make people think that they're on dates to get private information out of them? Probably not. But is it better for the public good? I'd argue yes.
Yeah, but this is talking about his marriage, right? So, like, how is that for the public good?
No, that's good.
And until he said anything, we didn't know what she was on about. We just thought it was to do with regarding the stuff with the contract and whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was aware of the divorce.
No. But like we heard, and what he's telling us is that she says he was going through these things, but then I learned something else.
That's
She's
how
saying there's a piece you don't know, and I might tell you later.
That's
and
what
Nerd is saying, why would she tell that later? Well,
that's why we need to finish playing the video.
Yeah, sorry, beautifully didn't
because she does go on to explain herself in the video. That's why we've heard what he said completely. Let's go.
Keep going, yeah.
Now, some other issues.
There, you wanted to finish?
Oh shit! I just had a thought, and it fucking
left
me. Damn it!
I mean, T3 has a point. If he drags her in, she has every right to say something.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's pretty much what happened. To a point, right? To a point.
Yes.
As opposed to just saying it, Boomer went ahead and said it on chat. Says he did not drag her in.
And I posted the Twitter link to prove it. She intended on inserting herself before he even said who was involved.
And how? Could you explain how that's a thing?
To do with that?
What?
Because the Tim Cash shows are booked months in advance, along with they decide what they're going to do for the subject a few days before.
Okay.
But before, at 4:02 p.m. on the day she went on Tim Cash, she said Crowder didn't say a word about money. That is precisely the problem. He intentionally omitted certain information to enhance his victim performance, saving the rest for at Timcast tonight.
Oh, she
that
said
is
that.
the moment.
Seems to think
No,
that's
that
speculation.
is the moment. There, it is time stamped and everything.
Okay, we'll be able to actually see that, right?
But again,
in the private chat.
I remember my point now. I'm sorry.
The divorce, though. And we need to finish that video.
Candace
We really
Owens
need to
says-
finish it.
Carter, did
That's fine.
it say a word about money?
She's quoting.
Wait,
That is precisely the problem. He intentionally omitted certain information and enhanced the victim performance, saving the rest of the Timcast tonight.
But what does this mean by she always meant to insert herself?
Okay.
If she thinks he talked about her in his speech, then he's brought her into it before she's tweeting this.
And what's this?
No one would have known.
That was the day after that.
We're
the
going
day
back
after his,
to this?
Timcast.
I remember my point I wanted to
We
make.
have to finish this video. I'm not stopping you. I'm not interrupting you. I'm just telling you.
No,
I remember my point I was going to make before I had a brain fart. The thing is, with her speech from January that we watched, the shoulder pad speech, I should say.
Yeah.
She kept saying, "Oh, Steven Crowder. I have information about Steven Crowder. I have this, but I'm not going to do." Okay, if you mention if you even insinuate that, people on their own accord, I said, "Oh, what? I wonder what she was talking about. I'm going to go look it up." People are going to find it and themselves.
That's actually a bad argument for Crowder because they didn't.
They didn't. He's the one that announced it yesterday to the world, and everyone's like, "Oh wow, really?"
If that's true, if she was dropping Easter eggs like a son of a bitch, why didn't it get picked up? If that's true, he knows what
he might have. I'm thinking he was probably trying to cut it off before it got out.
Maybe he's being extorted by somebody who did the CIA women research before.
She did that in January. That's what I'm saying. She did that in January. She said nothing, and he's the one that brought it up in April. We need to finish watching the video so we can hear what she has to say.
Okay.
And why she came to the conclusions that she did, because she explains herself.
Well, think about this another way. Like, it could have been much worse than what it was, right? A divorce, it's not a good thing, but it's not the worst thing. Like, when she said that, people could have thought in their minds, like, "Oh my God, is this another Jack Murphy moment? Like, what's going on here?"
That's what I'm. Yeah.
T3 says that's a lot of assuming on your part, nerd.
We like assuming. We're speculating here.
Yeah,
a lot of the stuff we've been talking about are speculations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hit it.
Have been, or I should say, inferences have been more pernicious behind the scenes with demands and threats to use this information that they believe would be so publicly embarrassing to me and my wife at a difficult time that it could be used, knowingly putting my children in harm's way. So to those self-styled Christians, conservatives, and allies, well, not in my book. Now, if you find yourself, I don't want to get into details, so this is going to likely be the only time I have to address this or want to address this. If you're asking yourself, hey, did X person or did Y person know? The answer is likely yes.
So much that I want to say here. First and foremost, if you're a person that watches his show, how do you not see that he is so obviously acting and that he is a very bad actor? Do you feel bad for him when he says that? When he says,
you could say the same thing about her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You really could. They both put on a very intelligent act catered for their audience.
I don't think either of them are dumb.
That's what they do. That's exactly what they do. They're not sitting there just being, relaxed, chilling with their friends like we are. Compared to what they're doing, they're dressed to the T. They know their parts. It's all scripted in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna read it out. They're gonna act. Everything that they do is scripted. This kind of sounds like they're like maybe the Daily Wire has something to do with the Crowder team, and you might see something come up after all this is said and done with. Because, what better way to do it than actually, bring up, a little bit of steam ahead of time. Then we'll bring you in later, and it would be great. Everybody would be like, what in the world just happened?
I just want to say, we were making, we were kind of poking fun at Candace Owens' shoulder pads earlier. And I'm like 90% sure that Crowder is always wearing like a muscle suit. I don't think.
No, he eats spinach before every show. What are you saying? You're next in the lawsuit.
Exactly. Informative, opinionated, and interaction with chat. Sweet. Yeah, absolutely. We try to do it whatever we can, Suzanne. Go ahead, hit that button.
If you're familiar with the idea of extortion, Well, if you are familiar with the idea of extortion, you should realize that that video that he just showed of me wasn't that. Nobody threatened him. Nobody made demands behind closed doors. His insinuation that I knew about his divorce before he decided to attack the Daily Wire is a point.
This is still the thing. I don't think that Crowder was directing the extortion claim towards Candace Owens. I think he showed the Candace Owens
Don't
clip.
conflate the issues, and this is how we end up here.
I mean, isn't that the whole issue? Isn't the issue that we're talking
And now
about?
that's why we need to watch this so we can see what she says and exactly why she's with the defamation suit, not the defamation suit, the cease and desist. Because this shit's got to stop.
We need to stop this every 15, 20 seconds.
I understand.
Like
I understand. I know that shit.
And the whole reason why Candace is front and center in this is because, quite frankly, she's the first person from Daily Wire who went full hog on Steven Crowder.
Yeah.
Hey, we like an outspoken woman, right?
I was going to say,
when they do it, everyone
I'm the one
shits
behind
on her.
closed doors. It's like, you know what? If you won't, I will.
Pointed lie. Let me tell you what actually went on behind the scenes. Steven Crowder on election night was our friend. He was on the backstage with all of us, laughing, having a great time. He even sent me a retrospectively very flirty message thereafter on Instagram about how nice I looked on election night, even though I didn't respond to it. Thereafter, obviously, he attacked me.
Nice.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Respectively, knowing that he's going through a divorce, that is like, why did you send me that kind of flirty message, especially knowing that,
She's married. It's not like he did. Come on.
Come
on,
you
Candace.
look nice. That's
you
flirty.
look nice is flirty. And you see, you can't even
No.
compliment
I
a woman.
think he also
I
said
she looked
something
nice too.
on the show as well, and she tried to ignore that because she felt like a piece of
When
meat.
you look nice, I mean,
Well,
come on, Candace.
All right. So here's this gal that and you've said something to everybody else and you don't want to exclude them. What do you say? Oh, hey, you sure look very nice today.
Yeah.
Like the outfit. That is something that a generic compliment that guys in an office would give.
But
Hey,
hold on.
you sure
Let's
look
say-
nice today.
Sure. Now let's say that happens. You look nice today. That happens on air. After the fact, same dude sends you a private message and says, you really did look nice tonight. That's it. Now is it creepy?
Yeah.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
already
It
told
just
me
got
y'all look
creepy.
nice. Yeah.
Was that
Private-
all that
she
was
said
to the
yes.
message though?
She didn't say that.
Oh,
She didn't say what
that.
else was there. She just said retrospectively it was creepy. Truthfully, it was creepy at that moment because she's saying she's not going to reply to it. So she would have replied to it had it not been creepy. But it is creepy if that's all it says after the fact to say that to me again. I see your attention. I didn't want it then, or it was appreciated then or whatever, but I don't want any more of it. That's all.
think you're trying to bang Candace Owens?
She thinks maybe.
Well, let's.
I think
Just
that is
sounds
very
like-
important self-opinion.
Crimson sounds like cherry picking.
Look at that muscle suit.
Yeah.
She referred to the message, but I also watched the show.
They both wear something that they don't necessarily.
She didn't say it was said. Yeah, like we're assuming that she said it in public the first time, but
Her shoulder pads don't seem to be so bad when there's stripes involved.
there's no shoulder pads here. I don't think. Are there?
Beetlejuice.
There are.
Yeah, definitely.
There has to be still to be something.
I don't know. I was thinking more along the lines of jail stripes. Ka-clink.
Friend Jeremy Boring, and to release the recording out of context to make it seem like Jeremy Boring knows that he's employing all of us like we're slaves, right? This is what Steven Crowder did. We had a right to respond forcefully to all of his claims. We all did that on our different platforms. And then I said to myself, just sitting there one day, why is he doing this? It's a very simple question and an obvious question that any person would ask. This is not normal behavior. It's very erratic to go from being friends with somebody, being with them on election night, laughing, having a great time, to suddenly wanting to ruin their entire company and launching Stop Big Con. It's bizarre behavior. I turned to my husband and I said, where's his wife and all?
What's that?
She mean the midterms?
Yeah, it's the midterm.
Okay, because I'm like, wait, Yeah, when
Yeah,
the election's
2022,
like 3 years
November.
That's
ago.
like in November
Okay.
2022.
November just gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so
the
she's
problem
saying
is that the divorce process started in 2021,
21.
a year before this. So, like,
Mhm.
I just don't like her logic of, oh, a year and a half later, and he's now just freaking out about the divorce.
Well, technically, it wasn't a just now thing because this is fallout from like last year sort of thing. And fair enough, Daily Wire was probably one of the latest pieces in the puzzle. Look at everything
When-
else that's
let me ask this.
fallen to shit.
Yeah, when was the Daily Wire contract presented to Stephen Crowder? Do we know that date?
It was right around the midterm elections, I think.
So was
Yeah,
it
that's what I'm
right
trying to
after they did
differentiate.
Was
that.
it
I'm
after
trying to
that night?
differentiate if it's after or before this night, because she's trying to say after this went down. It sounds like she's trying to say that after that happened, then they still hung out, and then something happened in January or some shit
And it
or
went sour
whenever.
somewhere.
Yeah, it went sour somewhere. So I'm curious when the contract was and when they hung out, because if the contract is after they hung out, then of course it could have gone sour.
They were in negotiations when they were hanging out. When the midterm elections happened, they were still in negotiations. And from what I understand, that's around the time that he and his agents sent back the counteroffer. And then they didn't hear anything for a couple of months, and then he drops everything in January of 2023.
Okay, so you're right. If in January he tells us about it and they've already decided that it's been a couple months since he said anything, then in November is in that time where nothing has been said, but there's possibly two offers out there. Yeah, Grim, she left him December of 2001, filed for divorce. 21, sorry. While they're after their twins were born 4 months.
What do you got here, Moose?
Will Sommer of the Daily Beast pointed out on Thursday in November, around 2 months after the Daily Wire offered Crowder $50 million. So apparently 2 months before November.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense because everybody knew behind the scenes that Crowder's contract with Blaze was ending at the end of his season. Like, you know, if you think of his show as a TV show, at the end of the season of 2022.
So that would have been
December.
Yeah, that would have been right before Christmas of 2022 is when.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When the contract would
because
end,
they go
which means
on.
he would be fielding offers before that.
They take like a near month break,
Grim
don't they?
said she files for divorce. Her twins are 4 months. Grim said she got him for 18 years. GG.
The Blaze contract, I believe, ended in December of 2022. Let me
Then he took the break, and it seems like he didn't have a good break and came back a bit.
Yeah, end of 2022, I think. The Blaze contract
Well,
ended.
he would be fielding offers way before the contract actually ended. So, I mean, it could have been any time 2022.
The offers could have started anywhere from January to June.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. Because he says he becomes a free agent. They're trying to figure out, or whatever they call that. They're trying to figure out what gets him in the door, blah, blah, blah. And so he hangs out with them in November, you're saying? That's when the midterm was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then
Isn't she just supposedly a Christian?
Sorry.
You're good.
So I take it at this point she is being kind of dishonest because it's not that they were hanging out as friends. They were courting him, and they'd offered him employment around this time.
Talking to Jeremy
That's
about
fair.
it. Said that she talked to Jeremy about this issue during election.
Mm-hmm.
So she was in the loop.
Jen, I'm just thinking about the way that I talk about everything in my life with my husband. Every night I'm talking to him about what's going on at work. I thought to myself, where is Hillary Crowder in all of this? How did she not tell him not to do something this vicious and this disgusting? And then I said to my husband, I bet they're not even together. I logged on to Instagram and I found Hillary Crowder's Instagram account, and I looked to see And it turned out that she didn't follow Steven Crowder and that Steven Crowder didn't follow her. He didn't follow anybody in her family and she wasn't following anybody in his family. That was my aha moment. Clearly, there was some sort of a separation. Now, this might sound like crazy CIA stuff, woman stuff. It's exactly what happened. I then spoke to Jeremy at the Daily Wire and I said, do you think that him and his wife are potentially separated? And he said, no. Obviously, it's his.
Pause. Mm-hmm.
You can't just sit there and just blast through a video. It doesn't work that way.
We're good. We've established that we are using this for fair use by now.
Well, I'm just saying, because it's thoughts that go along with the moment or whatever. Grim said he stopped watching Crowder a long time ago. All it did was cry about censorship and money. That's all he's ever really done. That was his thing.
Although,
not to start, he did a lot of that, change my mind stuff.
He still does it like maybe once every 2 or 3 months. But I think he really
season's coming around, so he might just do a couple more. You just never know.
I think he started slowing down after the surgery with the traveling and all that kind of stuff.
But listen,
Jim brought up the surgery too. It's just like how long right after the surgery did this occur? What made him? What happened that made him actually go through the surgery?
He had a concave chest, and he had titanium rods put into his chest to rectify that, which led to a collapsed lung and emergency surgery afterwards.
It started with heart issues. He was having heart issues. And then it was discovered that it's because his rib cage was caved in and was putting pressure on his heart, which was causing him to develop irregular rhythms. And so they had to cut his chest open. They had to remove his rib cage. They had to put that titanium bar in and then put his rib cage back together.
Okay. What did she say right now in this video that we're watching?
That she was stalking his Insta.
Okay,
and his wife.
Okay, that's what I wanted to say.
She went to. Okay.
It wasn't CIA. It was full on stalking.
She went to have a look because she had a suspicion. She was like, "This guy's acting weird. Is his wife still together with a conversation with her husband?" And that's what led her here.
Mm-hmm. But then, so in her January video, which she's saying, she's saying
anything.
But what does she know? She knows that they don't follow each other on social.
That's what
pretty much.
That doesn't mean they're getting a divorce or anything else.
Exactly.
And then she went full gossip hound with her husband accordingly.
But that's
Jeremy.
I'm sorry, but if you cannot talk to your husband, who can you talk to?
Wait, you don't think that's a weird
thing?
The
internet, everyone just come to comments and talk and tell us all your personal.
I don't internet gossip with my husband.
No,
I do that with you guys.
Hang on, though. It wasn't internet gossip. They were talking about Stephen, and then she was like, "Okay, are they still together? Because this doesn't seem like his wife has got any direction in this whatsoever." And she was like, "Maybe not." And then she went to look and discovered that they don't follow each other any shape or form, family whatsoever on Insta. And then she asked Jeremy, "Do you know if Stephen and his wife are separated?" And Jeremy said no.
I'm sorry.
And then she did a show that said, "I learned something new. Pray for him and his family."
Me being pissed off
What she learned that's new.
My clients or a coworker doesn't mean I'm going to go on their Insta page and dig into their dirty laundry for shits and giggles. That is not a normal thing to do.
I would. I'm nosy.
I said what I said.
But what does she know that's new? If that's what happened, she went to CIA mode, found out this secret information, went to Jeremy. Jeremy's like, "No, dude, no way." And she's like, "All right, you're probably right." Does her show and says, "Hey, I found a new piece of information, but I'm not going to tell you unless maybe sometime I might tell you, but I'm not really sure about telling you. Stay tuned." You know what? I mean, what was the piece of information? You know what I mean? Like, can't be both.
That's all that matters, Michael Hagan. As long as you don't give a fuck about none of this, hit that play button.
Yeah.
I think that him and his wife were potentially separated, and he said, no. Obviously, it's his friend. He would have known whether or not they were separated, except he didn't. He actually had no idea if they were separated either.
According to what she knows. He could have just been like, not didn't tell you, not confirming.
Well, whatever. That's the only information she can go off, and that's what she's saying.
Totally. But Steven doesn't know that. He's like, oh my God, they talked or something.
Bi, that
Finally, we decided
that interaction you talked about with her husband, where she brought up Crowder's wife. Was that like on a live stream, or where was that?
No, that was their personal conversation
That was
they
in
had
their
at home.
bedroom.
That was their.
Oh,
own
so this is
conversation
just
that they
here,
had.
like this
It
is
was
just
private.
she's telling like how that came about.
How she came to the conclusion that, look, this is probably what's going on in his life right now.
So this is just, she could have made all that up, but not saying she did. But there's no like proof online. It's no.
Yeah, it's pure speculation that she was done to get to the
Are her
conclusion.
hands actually square?
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening right there? Both of them do it.
conclusion, Jeremy advised that we just stay out of it, that this is actually not our business, but at least it actually felt good to learn that he was going through something privately, because it assigned some reason for something that he did that was so horrific and so irrational to his friends. Finally, we said, okay, this is a broken man. This is what I was thinking. This is a broken man who is on some sort of a spiral. It is likely his divorce that led to this moment. He's acting erratic. He's acting panicked. And this at least gives us some sort of an excuse for why he behaved this way.
Even
That's
though
it.
his friend has
Why
told
do
him
you
he's
need
not
an
going to divorce.
excuse?
And then
Why
went
do
on
you
to my
need an
platform,
excuse for
and I said,
anything that he had to say?
Yeah, thank God he's getting divorced. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to forgive him.
I wouldn't understand any of this, but thank God he's getting a divorce. Whew. little psychopathy happening here.
That album
Let's pray for Steve.
Allegedly, in my
honestly.
dumb opinion, as a joke.
That referee outfit's throwing me off.
Because that's what he needs. He needs a prayer. And apparently, nobody's answering those prayers right now because he's still acting erratic. He's now upping the ante
no one's
and
answering
suggesting
those prayers right now. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm not liking this train of thought. This train of thought she's going. I understand she probably means good by it. I personally don't like the. Well, he says he's a Christian kind of argument.
They both did it, yeah. They definitely both did it.
I don't like it. I don't like it when he does it. I don't like it when anybody does it. So I'm kind of wishing she kind of stopped.
Like, hey, everyone, all you Christians, all you that have kneeled before the cross and said you're sinners and have humbled yourself and said that you will never measure up, all you imperfect sinners, what are you doing being imperfect? Like, you know what?
That's
Tell me you don't understand.
I switch off.
It's that idea that if you're a Christian, like the critics of Christianity have, like, oh, you're a Christian, you did this and this.
That's why
you
he's
cheated on your wife. You had a drug problem. Blah 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 blah. But still, it's like, okay, why is she using, or why do people use that as an attack?
Because they don't understand that their faith is a little bit misunderstood. They act like you should be perfect in every situation, when the truth is it's the blood of Jesus that fills that gap of imperfection in us. And yeah, we do need to fall back and ask for forgiveness and understand what we did wrong, but we're going to fuck up royally and repeatedly, and we will have to stand in that. And yeah, they're doing it online, but to bash each other's faith because of it is very interesting.
Div, I have a phrase that covers that. It's called the FUCAS, the Fine Upstanding Christian Arseholes out there. The FUCAS.
Those kind of people that'll be at the bar on Saturday night while in the front pew the next morning.
Yes.
But I heard a preacher say it like this, Div. The devil attacks Christians more because he doesn't have them. Why would he go after sinners? He's already got them in the palm of his hand.
Yeah.
I extorted him. I will not take that lightly, okay? I am not Hillary Crowder. I am not anybody in his family. I am not going to take somebody going onto his platform and alleging that I either harassed, threatened, or did anything that would put his children at risk. That is very serious stuff that he is saying. And so what I did this morning after this clip was sent to me is I contacted a defamation lawyer, and I am sending Steven Crowder a cease and desist. And I'm going to demand a full-throated retraction to the idea that Candace Owens threatened him or extorted him. And not that I simply did a little math. 1 + 1 = 2. A crazy man doing these sorts of things to his friends obviously means that something is going on personally.
This is like, first of all,
honestly, this time I'm not even going to suggest anybody should pray for him.
It bothers me when they keep going his friends. Listen, if he felt like and he did, that his friends should have given him a better contract, and because they didn't, they are no longer his friends, then saying he did this to his friends isn't a real thing. Like, the Farron's people kept doing this to me too. Isn't she your friend? Isn't she your friend? I'm like, I know her, but she fucked me, so we're done. That's over. Who cares about that? You know what I mean? Like, and my friends don't get a free pass to do whatever the fuck they want and say whatever the fuck they want.
Exactly. The people that can hurt you the most are the ones closest to you.
They think.
Yep, the people you actually trust.
I am so deeply troubled by the idea that he is trying to insert me into this narrative pertaining to his divorce. I'm frankly angry about this. So I'm going to hope that he does the right thing, okay? That he does another one of his live feeds on the exact same platform and via the exact same medium and offers me an apology and takes back every single word that he says. And by the way, if you think that that's bad, here's how he decided to end this clip pertaining to his divorce.
It's pretty simple. I loved a woman so much that I married her. A woman who, despite all of this, I still love as the mother of my children. And she wanted something else for her life. That's not my choice. She simply wanted out, and the law says that that's how it works. Now, of course, look, I get it. There are multiple sides to every story, but one thing that is undeniable in this case is that it's no one's fault but my own, in that I picked wrong.
I picked wrong. Wow. How kind, how loving. You really must have loved this woman, Steven Crowder. Again, I don't know who's buying your act anymore. I certainly haven't bought it from the very beginning.
What's wrong?
It's very
I
obvious.
don't find anything wrong with saying that. He definitely feels like he picked wrong. He thought he picked a woman who would fight through things and not ever choose the divorce button. And things do change, but he thought he had fleshed out this perfect unicorn that was never going to do that. And what's wrong with saying that he picked wrong? They're getting divorced after 4-month-old twins. That sounds like the wrong pick. Everyone's muted. I hope you guys are all talking and I'm not.
Oh, I'm not muted.
Listening. I was just listening to you. You were making a good point, I thought.
I'm muted because running this whole thing is taking most of my mental process.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I signed up for it. All right.
To me exactly what you are. You come across to me as a very dishonest individual. It seems to me, Steven, that you really, for whatever reason, want to insert me into this narrative. Like there is just something about me that you are hyper-focused on. And so I want to help you a bit. And really, I want to help your wife because you essentially just used your platform. Millions of people have access to your platform. She doesn't have the same, to insult her. You picked the wrong woman, okay? So here's what I would like to do. I would like to invite Hillary Crowder onto my platform because she doesn't have one and because her ex-husband apparently just used his to insult her, say that he picked the wrong woman.
I really don't see that as like an insult. I mean, it feels just more like a statement of fact. Like, I mean, what? So like, what is the proper phrasing? Would a more appropriate phrasing be something along the lines of, I thought I knew her and it turns out I didn't, or we just weren't the right match? I mean, it's all the same thing.
It's all the same thing, yeah. He said he loved her.
He picked her, she picked him. Like that's kind of how marriage works, unless it is some sort of shotgun marriage.
Find that to be really despicable. So Hillary Crowder, if you are watching, you are more than welcome to come on my show and to talk about what's actually going on. Because as I said, I don't trust a single word that comes out of Steven's mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately.
It's over.
Okay, so I think what we should do is play the Crowder clip again, because I'm trying to wrap my mind around where Crowder accuses Candace directly of extortion. I think he's just saying that there is a person out there, I'm not naming names,
but why play a clip of her then?
Who was using it in that way.
Could it be that she's taking it that way because he would turn around and played that clip?
He played the clip of her. So yeah, she's taking it that way.
I think she is taking it that way because he put her video in the clip where she was. Alluding
Did
to
you
the
pray?
fact that she figured out he was getting a divorce.
But
Yeah.
still, there is no. Can't do the math. It's not mathing.
What have you, legal jargon. Now, in all this, one thing I want to be really clear about is certain. True north here is that my children are blameless, completely without fault, and so we decided to resolve these issues privately, as it's in their best interests, both emotionally and physically, to do so. Now, the other issue is, and this is something that I've kept private for likely far too long, many other people knew about this behind the scenes. Some, not all, but some of them in positions of power, influence, leverage, knew of this. They also knew that the safety of my children included keeping it private. So if you're familiar with the idea of extortion, then you know the feeling well. Now, some of these threats were so thinly veiled that I'm frankly surprised you didn't all guess immediately.
Stephen has lies people
Embarrassing.
in further defense.
Now, some other issues have been, or I should say, inferences have been more pernicious behind the scenes with demands and threats to use this information.
So there it is, right? He says some other issues behind the scenes were more malicious and direct.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, like, and then he starts to go on and talk about the extortion. It seems to me like he very poorly was trying to put, like, okay, so here's a person who was like, knew something and kind of alluded to it, and then there's a big old comma, and then other people behind the scenes were using it as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So all I'm really catching from this is that TR does not follow Steven Crowder on Rumble. Does
Yeah,
not
he's definitely
follow
not
Steven Crowder.
following.
No, do you not notice that I'm not even signed in? I'm not signed in, that's why.
Wait, you're right, Boomer. She said, why call it pernicious? I'm a damn encyclopedia of odd words and did not have that one in my list to make people wonder. Yeah, what is pernicious? Define.
Information that they believe would be so publicly embarrassing to me and my wife at a difficult time that it could be used, knowingly putting my children in harm's way. So to those self-styled Christians, conservatives,
But how does
allies,
this knowingly putting his children
not in my book,
in harm's way?
Now, if you find yourself,
yeah, I don't know.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I can't do the maths. That's where I'm having problems.
I don't want to
Yeah.
get into details. So this is going to likely be the only time I have to address this or want to address this. If you're asking yourself, hey, did
Who's doing
X
dishes?
person or did Y person know?
Does it sound like somebody's doing dishes or something?
The answer is likely yes.
Coming over Rex.
Which will be made alarmingly clear as this process of discovery continues. And it also, by the way, makes me that much more appreciative of those who did know about this and in understanding the best interests of my family, my children, kept their word and used discretion. I can't thank you enough. Sincerely, I appreciate it. Won't forget it. It's pretty simple. I loved a woman so much that I married her. A woman who, despite all of this, I still love as the mother of my children. And she wanted something else for her life. That's not my choice. She simply wanted out.
The rest of that Candace played. And then just to Beautifully Inappropriate's point, let's see here.
What point? I didn't know I had one.
Tell me when the screen is up, please.
I mean, I find it interesting as Steven Crowder's actually speaking. If you actually look at him as he's speaking, his body language shows that he's looking, down down and to his left.
Yeah.
That's somebody that's gonna. Isn't that somebody that does that? Isn't that something that's lying?
Not necessarily.
No,
It's
that
not
whole
necessarily lying. It's more of like hard thinking, which is usually associated with lying, but is also like someone who's trying to pick their words
Someone who
very
talks to
carefully.
themselves.
One factor alone isn't enough. They generally look
Yeah.
for like clusters of 3 or more.
Yeah,
It could be a sign, but it's not enough to really, go one way or another. It could just be like a quirk or,
Mhm.
Like he's got so much going on that he's actually trying to find the best way to go without actually saying exactly what's happening.
Or saying something that is he's restricted from saying due to a divorce settlement or proceedings or court order.
I just continuously see him looking down and to the left the whole time.
Why did he tell us he's getting a divorce? No one knew till he told us that. If his kids are in danger, what is he doing?
Because somebody had been threatening to release it. And Candace Owens had been dropping
Let
hints
him
about it.
release it.
He wanted.
Do they have millions of viewers? Because he does.
No,
Matter.
but Steven Crowder has
It does
had
matter.
multiple reported death threats against him.
Okay,
Not
what's
only
that have to do
from
with
Muslim fanatics, but other Antifa. At one point, he did an undercover Antifa a couple of years ago at one of the Texas colleges.
He still is the one. If that's true, he's the one that's putting himself in the danger by saying, like, I don't understand.
Doing these things, yeah.
Yeah, but now people know he's not there to protect his kids.
He just now told us he's not there to protect his kids. He told us that. If the people that know it already
were
know it.
extorting him with that information.
Allegedly. How did, like,
It's all online.
they wanted to. If he doesn't pay, we will tell you about the divorce. All right, well, then I'm not going to pay. Okay, then we're going to tell. Okay, well, it's either you tell or I tell. Well, I have a giant audience. I'll tell. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Court document.
If
There
he's
you
being
go.
extorted, the
Okay,
person
hold on,
extorting him
what's-
already knows
what's
he's
this-
not there.
what's
The
this
only
here? What do you
people who
got,
don't
Bruce?
know that those children don't have their father around was the rest of the millions of people he told.
Well, look at this, because this is the unit court site, which is like probably used with in conjunction with like the state courts, right? This has been updated December 10th, 3 days after the filing, 2021. So this was public information on Unicourt since 2021.
Yeah, so people would have known. That's interesting.
Last updated. This hasn't been, unless there's like some funky shit going on, which, there's no reason to believe that. It says it's been updated last 12/10/2021. So this has been here
And
public.
it has their filing date and everything. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Good find, Moosey.
Yeah,
He might have moose antlers, but he real smart.
yeah.
Yeah, he was at.
He might hang around with a bunch of squirrels, but he's super smart.
What's this here?
This
So
is
what's
just
this?
the Miss Unicorn's point she was making earlier
So,
about all
so
the
now,
hidden
so
wires.
now another person comes out and has to say something about it because
No, so this is back this is just, Michael Knowles made a statement about the Crowder contract thing. And then you got, Ben Shapiro did a whole 12-minute segment on his show about, so it really
contract?
wasn't just, it really wasn't just
the whole
Candace
thing's about.
Well, I got something for you guys to think about. If you were in Candace's position and you wanted to talk about this, you would have run that by either Jeremy or someone like in direct contact with Jeremy before you did, right?
Yeah.
She admitted that she did, and he told her to leave it be and
they all
not
decided
talk
to leave it
about
be, and that's why she hasn't since then.
But you would think she would ask him before the first time she talked about it if she can. Like,
what is
Right.
that website?
But she didn't address it outside of everyone else addressing it. They were all addressing it around that time, and it wasn't addressed after that.
yeah, but I'm just saying that she must have gotten permission or.
Yeah,
or,
they all.
I'm going to say that there is a big part of this puzzle missing that
Yeah.
we don't have access to, and it is those backstage communications that he referred
Back
to.
channels, yeah.
What could you tell me what Dave Landau had said about this in the last couple of days or so?
I don't think he's been talking about it. I think
I
he's
didn't
been
talk
talking
about this
his,
specifically. It's about his situation regarding Stephen.
Can we see that at all?
The
'Cause
Michael
I'm
Malice
interested
interview?
Yeah.
in
The
Landau.
thing is, though, Clum's this thing started.
Oh, crap.
Everyone's live.
Yeah, Experts live now.
Yeah, Experts live. He's got several
Rabbit,
people
Melissa
looking
Jane,
for
Dorothy,
Clumsy's
Clumsy,
birthday party.
Diction,
Oh, the
Diva,
parties at
Spice, and
Experts?
Volstorm. Yeah.
Let's go. Well, I mean, did we solve the world here yet? I feel like we might have.
It's still the same for me. I don't give two shits.
Still undecided and don't really give a shit.
I don't give a shit until we know anything. We don't know anything.
It was fun trying to figure it out, but I don't think we figured much of anything out when it come down to it.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of biased against Candace Owens because of, other activities she's been involved in. And that's a discussion for another night entirely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen some of the really nasty results of that happen.
I guess what it really comes down to is do you think that it's okay that she's actually speaking of Stephen Crowder?
Regarding this specific situation, I think it's appropriate that she said something.
Absolutely. He aired her video after saying
you don't play a
extortion.
video of me and I don't respond.
I think if she hadn't self-inserted herself to begin with, then it wouldn't be an issue.
That's the thing. She didn't self-insert herself.
She did.
The whole Daily Wire. It was the whole Daily Wire.
Well, okay, Boomher. Why didn't he play videos of the rest of the Daily Wire people when he?
Because
you know what I mean, like everyone else also spoke.
They weren't the ones who were sitting there making the little catty statements.
Say pray for him.
Well,
I'm not angry
for
anymore
him because he's got wink, wink things going on. Wink,
so I'm
wink.
not angry
That I
anymore.
can't tell
I'm
you
taking a
about.
different
Nudge,
stance.
nudge. Wink, wink. Just pray for him. Trust me. Wink, wink. It's bad. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she also said, I've seen the different side of the story now, so I'm not as hard on him as I was, and I prayed for him, and I suggest you pray for him too. That's the crux that I took from it.
But I also think we should have probably watched her, at least part of her Timcast rant that basically started it all. Because that's the point where she was really.
But that's why I said we had to go back to the one that he did, because she's responding to what was on Timcast. You see where I'm going? It's long.
No, she wasn't responding to what was on Timcast. She responded. She was first. She was on the 19th. He dropped this on the 18th. The very first video when he did the whole Stop Big Con thing was done on January 18th. Of 2023. Jeremy Boring released a video at midnight or shortly before midnight on January 18th. She went on Timcast on January 19th. He went on Timcast the 23rd or the 24th.
Probably the 23rd because she made a video the 24th.
Yeah. Her video was the 23rd and the 24th. He would have been on there before that. But she wouldn't have just self-inserted. She would have passed that with the Daily Wire team before she did anything.
No, she self-inserted because she posted on Twitter on the 19th.
Yeah, I understand
at
that.
4
but she would have
p.m.
also.
And that was at the point that she figured out on that day. That was the point that she figured out that they offered him $50 million, and that he came back with an offer of $120 million because the $50 million wasn't enough, and she was pissed.
But I'm sure before she went on Timcast that day, she had time between the tweet and going on the show.
4 o'clock and
Mm-hmm.
7 o'clock. She would have been in the green room the whole time. I don't think she did.
Just like if you can be on the phone messaging if I can be on the phone messaging someone in another country while I'm doing something else, it's easy for her to be in communication with anybody. She's got a mobile phone.
So I think the timeline is a little bit So
Skewed.
Candace goes on the show
On the 19th.
which
On the
is
19th at
When,
7 p.m.
Crowder's
So-
video was
So
on the
in conclusion,
Yeah.
Crowder's first video was on the 18th. And then
Yeah.
Jeremy Boring did his response late
Yes.
night on the 18th. And
So-
then she had been flown down into Virginia or Maryland. And then she went to the Timcast castle.
But you
And
tell
then
me
she
that
was in the green room.
between seeing Jeremy's response and her going on the show, she couldn't have communicated with the Daily Wire team. Let's be realistic. She did.
Hold on.
We don't know that. We don't know if she did. We don't know if she didn't.
Yeah.
But
Slight
it's most likely
correction.
that she did.
The first Crowder video was on the 17th. Jeremy responded on the 18th, and then Tim Cast was on the 19th.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm sure they've spoken about it.
I'm sure they had time to talk.
But
that's what I'm
then, wait, Crowder did 2 videos because it was
Yeah,
the first video. It was, I'm not telling you who this is, but this is basically the shitty contract that's being given to all of these new content, the new conservatives. These are the people that you're getting your talking points from. And this is how you're getting your talking points. That your talking points are only permitted with YouTube's approval was his whole thing. And then Jeremy came out and said, "Oh yeah, that was our contract that he showcased." The only information he took out were the names and the business. So he didn't alter that contract. He just blacked out Daily Wire, Jeremy Boring, whoever's.
What day of the year of January did he tell us it was the Daily Wire?
Okay, so
18th.
The
Jeremy
19th.
Boring said, "Hey, that's us."
So Steve
The
does
19th,
stop
the morning of the 19th.
Because the other guy had talked about it on the 18th.
So here's my
They outed
Okay,
themselves.
I got it.
Yeah.
Tara's got the links. I mean, the times.
Oh, there you
the
go.
written timeline, right? So Steve does the Stop
back
Big
in.
Con video on the 17th. Jeremy Boring releases a response to Crowder on the 18th. Steven Crowder responds with the leaked Jeremy Boring phone call on the 19th, and then later that night, Candace Owens goes on Timcast IRL on the 19th.
And so the theory is that that's when everyone found out 150 million is the same time she did. When's the first time 120 is brought up?
No, 50 million and then 100.
The first time 150 million is mentioned when Crowder goes on Timcast on the 23rd.
I thought it was on
So she
Midsummer.
doesn't know that there's been a renegotiation yet.
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
So she just knew he was getting paid 50 million.
Yeah.
Which
That's,
is
to be clear, that's 50 million over 5 years.
mhm.
Yeah.
We need to make that point.
But she's also saying it's a term sheet, and she knows that number is subject to go up. I don't think she's. Do you think she's mad about that?
Well, she initially called it a contract in her first comments. And then once they started doing the company line, then she referred to it as a term sheet. They were doing those weasel words to try to say, "Oh no, it's not an enforceable contract, even if he'd signed it."
Oh, it wasn't.
It was.
Oh, it was.
Yes. If he would have put his name on that, it would have been a legally enforceable contract, and they would have owned Mud Club for infinity, in perpetuity, forever and ever and ever. Amen. Even though they didn't start it, and even though he kept control over it, even when Blaze grandfathered him in, and then they wanted to take it over, he didn't want them to take it over, and that's why he refused their contract.
So I have the Candace Timcast episode pulled up if we want to try to watch a little bit of that.
That's up to Koolfrogg. It sounds like 2 people here thought we needed to see it, so we might need it on here. I mean, if somebody sticks in for 2 hours of this and we go, we should have played this, and then we leave, maybe we should play that. How long is it? Or do you know?
I mean,
I'm one of the people that are in the chat. Just so you know.
Okay, yeah, let's play it then.
It's
I can't do this anymore. Oh my god, this is torture.
Oh no, Koolfrogg is muted. I don't know what to do.
Of course, I'm muted. I'm sitting there saying, you know, as far as that goes, you know, it's Timcast for one, and then for two, it's, you know, you got 3 people watching us, because everybody's out watching.
I don't count.
The expert at the moment. Just
well,
saying,
you guys want to watch this clip real quick? It's Candace Owens talking about the 50 million. I think it's the first mention of it on Timcast.
If it's a quick one, why don't we?
It's like a minute or two.
Yeah, a quick clip I can handle. But yeah, anything.
Let's see if she seems pissed
to
off
be
about
clear,
it.
I was never suggesting we actually sit there and watch the whole 2-hour Timcast.
No. Thank you, baby Jesus.
Yeah, and we can link all those links in the description so that if people want to do their own little rabbit hole deep dive into this, they can.
Also, I found the Dave Landau interview. It was with a smaller channel done 2 days ago.
Yeah, Michael Malice. Yeah.
I think I put it in a private chat.
That's interesting. Okay, thank you.
That's another topic, I think.
Yeah, he just
Again, I mean,
He
how
doesn't
long
sound like
is-
Koolfrogg wants to play this.
I really don't, because it's Timcast.
It's not.
Yeah, it is. It's a Timcast clip of Candace Owens. All right.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing is I thought you said you had just a little clip. I don't want no.
It's
a
literally
2-hour
just
video.
like it's just a minute here. I already pulled it up. Like I'm already at the time. That's fine. I'll just put it in the chat.
Timcast. Yeah, everybody guys check out Timcast.
So, all right, you want me to just tell you what she said?
Make sure you all check out
Can you?
Dimswall.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a
You
transcript
have
at
the
the side.
transcript there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it. If it'll hold
Yeah,
the
just
same.
read the transcript.
All right.
Make yourself sound like her.
To be very clear, I don't have a $50 million contract. If there's anything I should be upset about is... Damn, I'm gonna miss it. But they were going to pay that much to Steven Crowder, right? I need to go renegotiate my contract because, so you see it and it's shocking, and then you... All right, that's it.
Okay, so she was pretty upset about 50 million.
She was, yeah, I mean...
Okay, and you know the Dave Landau clip that is in private is just one day ago on a Compound Media, and it's talking about what happened with him and Crowder separating. And one of the comments says, a lot of them are like, love Dave, blah, blah, blah. But some of them are like, I'm glad Dave's standing up for himself and his family. So I'm kind of interested what's going on there. Another relationship that might have ended in the Crowder life. Crowder circle.
Well, basically the long and the short of it is that Landau was offered the same sort of contract that he was offered by the Daily Wire. And he's like, bro, you're making such a big deal out of, you know, how terrible these contracts are, and then you give me this pile of dog crap? Like, what the heck?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's, oh my God, Candace, what are you doing? Candace, no! She's got white wings.
Candace, no! Oh, Candace, no! Oh, hell yeah. If somebody waits for 2.5 hours, the show finally got good.
I can't handle this. Oh, God.
We're all going to hell.
No.
Oh, this is the least of the reasons we're going to hell.
That's a little more freeze frame right there. Oh,
Crazy eyes.
That's
Surprise.
That's what she said.
He was this big, y'all.
Oh,
He
look,
was
hands
this
free,
big.
y'all. Hands free.
Put it in.
Surprise.
What's she doing that, Mike?
I can do it hands-free, people. I got skills.
Caress the balls. It's okay. They will not hurt you.
Did you have fun? Yes, no, need more information.
Well, anyone who's still here in chat, thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for listening to us hash out other people's drama. Aren't we glad it's not ours?
Yes, I'm about to say.
Yeah, so glad it's not me.
Thank
I
you
don't
also
see
very, very much.
extortion.
If you haven't already, go hit that description line. Everybody that's here tonight, you can actually subscribe to them. Hit those links. Thank
Are
you
we
also
going to the
very, very
expert?
much.
Oh, what was the
This
poll?
is being redirected to the expert,
Don't
so
forget to end the
there'll be
poll,
a
end the
flash
poll.
on the screen from the Frog Army. So hit the raid if you're actually going to do that. Thank you.
What about the
Let me
last
end
poll?
this poll real quick.
Yeah.
Tally.
71% said yes, they did have fun. 28% said they need more information.
Yeah, that was me.
All
I
right.
said that.
Thank you. Whatever.